Alright people, buckle the hell up. If God Valley blew your minds, episode 1131 just took a freaking sledgehammer to what's left of him. We're diving straight back into Kuma's tragic AF past, and let me tell you, the emotions, the jaw-dropping reveals.
So Nami's gone full savage mode. Locking a beat-up Luffy in a cage cause he yeeted the ship over a waterfall like it's a TikTok stunt gone wrong, endangering the whole squad. Again, Jinbei's like, chill sis, we're all good, but Nami's not having it. But that wasn't even the worst part. They got the newspaper and realized the world went absolutely wild while they were busy in Wano. Cobra dead, Vivi missing, Luffy, being Luffy, immediately wanted to go full rescue mission, but Zoro shut it down, saying Vivi could handle herself unless she was actually in danger. Meanwhile, Luffy couldn't believe for a second that Sabo would kill Cobra, which led to him revealing his dream to the crew for the first time. Their reactions, a mix of shock, awe, and Sanji straight up saying Luffy's brain needed to be checked. Usopp thought it was impossible, but Luffy hit back with the ultimate confidence. Maybe the Pirate King could pull it off. Frankie wasn't about to waste time, though, saying they needed that last road poneglyph ASAP. But Robin reminded them it wouldn't be easy since its location had been a mystery for ages. Over at Sphinx, Marco got dropped off by the Red Hair Pirates, but before that, he had a little nostalgia moment. Back in Wano, Yamato decided not to join the crew, choosing instead to stay and protect Wano from future threats. Marco then said his goodbyes to the Straw Hats, and he, Luffy, and Jinbei reminisced about their first meeting back at Marineford. Marco even said Ace would have been hyped to see how far Luffy had come. Meanwhile, over on Karibari Island, Buggy was catching hands literally. Turns out, Cross Guild wasn't even his idea. Crocodile and Mihawk created it, but thanks to some classic Buggy nonsense, the world thought he was the boss. Flashback time, Crocodile called up Mihawk while dodging Marines, suggesting they team up, and Mihawk, being the world's most dangerous introvert, somehow agreed. Then, when Buggy was about to get wrecked by the Marines, Crocodile showed up not to help, but to collect his debt. Buggy, desperate, offered to work as Crocodile's servant, but his goofy subordinate slapped his face on the Cross Guild poster like he was the mastermind. The world government saw it, lost their minds, and declared Buggy one of the 4 emperors. Now, Crocodile had a 1.96 billion bounty, Mihawk over 3.59 billion, and Buggy a ridiculous 3.18 billion. Crocodile was furious and started beating up Buggy on sight, but Mihawk, in full I don't care mode, pointed out that having Buggy as their figurehead might actually work in their favor, and Crocodile, though annoyed, agreed. Finally, over at Amazon Lily, the place was a mess after a marine invasion. Gloriosa was stressing, saying they'd never been hit this hard before, but Boa Hancock, she had bigger priorities. Instead of worrying about the Marines, she casually dropped that she should just marry Luffy, which had Gloriosa absolutely done with her nonsense. Kobe and his Marine squad pulled up to Amazon Lily with the brand new Seraphim cyborgs, and let's just say, things went from 0 to 100 real quick. The Kuja were shook when they saw a mini Hancock-looking robot, but then Blackbeard showed up, ready to snatch her devil fruit. As if that wasn't chaotic enough, a Seraphim that looked like a young Mihawk slashed at Teach. Hancock used her powers to turn everyone except Kobe and Blackbeard into stone, but Teach grabbed her. Canceling her ability, they hit a deadlock. If he killed her, everyone would stay statues forever, and his new fruit would be useless. Just when he was about to risk it anyway, Rayleigh rolled up, flexing his legend status, and told Blackbeard to pack it up. Teach wasn't trying to fight Dark King himself, so he bounced, and Hancock reversed the petrification. Later, Rayleigh admitted he bluffed. If it came to a real fight, he wasn't sure he could have beaten Blackbeard. Meanwhile, out at sea, the Marines were tracking Egghead Island, but Kobe, Blackbeard snatched him up, and his status was officially MIA over in the Kamabaka Kingdom. The Revolutionary Army was relieved to hear Sabo was alive, but Dragon was not vibing with the news that he allegedly offed King Cobra. He told Sabo they were gonna have words if that was true. Then Kuma, now free, was about to drop some major tea when Sabo called in. The Marines were listening in, and they tracked him to Lulusia, a kingdom that had recently revolted. The 5 elders basically said, "Unlucky bro, because the next thing you know, a giant mystery weapon in the sky vaporized the entire island in an instant. No traces, no survivors, just gone." Oh, and the world government, they straight up pretended Lulusia never even existed. Back with the Straw Hats, they were sailing through an icy wasteland when they spotted someone trapped inside a giant water vortex. Zoro cut it open, and out popped Jewelry Bonney, looking like a little kid. Before they could even process that, a massive metal shark, yes, a mecha shark, attacked the Sunny, sending Luffy, Chopper, and Bonney flying into the sea. Jinbe went full lifeguard mode while Frankie tried to steer them to safety. But then the shark fired torpedoes and capsized the ship. Just when things couldn't get worse, a giant mecha appeared and straight up punched the shark. Meanwhile, over at Marine Base G14, Helmeppo was out here begging to go save Kobe from Blackbeard's clutches, but Rear Admiral Gruss wasn't about to make moves without orders. Back on Egghead Island, Jinbei got Luffy, Chopper, and Bonney to safety, where Bonney casually revealed they were standing in the lab of the one and only Dr. Vegapunk, a place supposedly 500 years ahead of its time. She had business with Vegapunk, but her ship got chomped by the mecha shark before she could even get there. Once inside, The crew lost their minds over futuristic wonders, floating aliens, giant robots, and even giant desserts, only to realize they were all holograms. Luffy, being Luffy, punched one and got decked in return. Then, a huge food machine caught their attention, and they went feral over it. While they were stuffing their faces, a robotic girl pulled up, explaining the tech, including gloves that let people touch holograms. Then she hit them with the biggest bombshell. She was Dr. Vegapunk. Bonney was like, "Yeah, no, I know the real one, you're capping." Meanwhile, the mecha that saved them from the shark lifted the Sunny out of the water, and another woman stepped out, also claiming to be Dr. Vegapunk. The Straw Hats completely mind blown. Lilith came in hot, claiming to be Vegapunk and demanding the Straw Hats hand over their treasure. But Robin and Zoro weren't buying it. Robin straight up said, "Isn't Vegapunk an old man?" And Lilith had to clarify that she was actually Punk 2, one of 6 Vegapunk clones, before things got spicy. Punk 1, Shaka, called in and shut her down. He told Lilith to quit playing pirate because Zoro and Robin were not the ones to mess with, realizing she was about to get folded. Lilith backed off, and Shaka, curious about the Straw Hats, let them in. The giant mecha flew them to the lab phase while Lilith explained how the tech worked, the island's layout, and the fact that the lower area was where the regular folks lived. The crew, except for Zoro and Brook, who stayed behind, got fresh new outfits. Meanwhile, Zoro and Brook were just chilling, sipping tea, and casually kicking Caribou off the ship despite his protest that the island was government-controlled. Over on Luffy's side, after stuffing their faces, Atlas flew off to fight holograms. Yes, that was a real thing. While the group stumbled upon a clothes dispenser and got some new drip. But the minute they stepped out, a police-style pacifista rolled up, ready to throw hands because they hadn't paid. Luffy was about to swing, but Bonney stopped him, revealing through actual tears that Kuma was her father. They dodged the pacifista by using Bonney's fruit to turn themselves into old men and children. Confusing the bot, Jinbei then dropped some history, saying Kuma was a former king who got exiled, then joined the Revolutionary Army before getting captured. Vegapunk took an interest in him, got him free as a warlord, but in exchange, he had to give up his body for science. Bonney wasn't buying it. She found an old beam saber in a junk pile and insisted her dad wouldn't have just thrown his life away like that, adding that Kuma belonged to some mysterious race no one knew about. Meanwhile, out at sea, a world government ship was pulling up to Egghead. On board were Rob Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy, casually discussing their latest assignment: assassinate Vegapunk. Turns out, the old man had split himself into 6 separate beings because he was too busy to be just one guy. The CP0 agents were also delivering S-Bear, another Seraphim, while making sure to wipe out all the Vegapunks without wrecking the lab. Lucci was getting a little too curious about why this hit was ordered, especially after what happened to Lulusia. But the others warned him to stop asking questions before he ended up on an accidentally erased list. Meanwhile, Vegapunk's main body, Shaka, called Dragon, basically saying, "Yeah, I think my time's up." Over at Winter Island, things were going sideways for the Heart Pirates. Their submarine got attacked, and suddenly, everyone started turning into women. Doc Q was out here throwing gender-bending diseases like it was a casual Tuesday. Law, being built different, flexed his haki and reversed it, which also cured his crew before they could breathe. Van Augur teleported Jesus Burgess to the island, and Burgess wasted no time showing off his insane strength by yeeting a mountain at them. Law blocked it with his Ope no Mi, but then Blackbeard himself pulled up, riding stronger, a flying Pegasus. Teach wasn't here for small talk. He was after Law's road poneglyph copies. Law immediately used his awakened power. Our room, amputate, slicing stronger in midair, but Teach countered by shaking the entire island with his Gyurash attack. Doc Q tried to take out the Heart Pirates with exploding apples, but Shatch just casually spit a jet of water to stop them. Meanwhile, Bepo spotted Van Augur and had Jean Bart block his sniper shot at Law. Then, it was time for the main event, Law versus Blackbeard. Law hit him with K-Room, Shock Willie, but Teach, never one to go down easy, got teleported by Augur and immediately hit back with Kuruzu, pulling Law in for a clash. While that was going down, the Heart Pirates took advantage of their aquatic skills, launching an underwater assault on the Blackbeard Pirates ship. Back at Marine HQ, Fleet Admiral Sakazuki was losing his mind, knowing full well that this battle was happening, but he couldn't do anything about it. The Straw Hats pulled up to the lava phase, and the first thing they did was geek out over the futuristic tech. Escalators, phased through doors, fire-powered everything. Egghead was basically a sci-fi fever dream. Lilith was breaking it all down, but she disappeared, leaving them to be guided by Edison's voice over the speakers. Then, out of nowhere, they ran into S-Shark, aka Seraphim Jinbei. At first, they were confused, like, wait, why is Jinbei trying to body us? But S-Shark didn't wait for answers. Dude came swinging with lasers, Fishman karate, Lunarian durability, and some slippery abilities that looked way too similar to Center Pink's Sway no Mi. The crew tried to fight back, but S-Shark was built like an endgame boss before things got worse. Shaka stepped in, ordered S-Shark to stand down, and casually magnetized the crew's shoes to the floor like it was nothing. Turns out, Lilith, Edison, and Pythagoras were just running tests, using the Straw Hats as live crash dummies. Shaka then hit them with the ultimate plot twist. Frankie was hyped about Egghead looking like the future, but Shaka shut him down, saying this was actually an island of the past, and not just any past 900 years ago past. He dropped the Void Century Bomb, theorizing that Ohara discovered the truth about an ancient kingdom that went to war with the 20 nations that later became the world government. The government won, erased that kingdom from history, and now acted like it never existed. The crew was speechless. Sanji pointed out that knowing this made them walking targets, and Shaka casually agreed, which did not help the mood. Even though he called it a theory, he threw it back at Robin, saying that if the government nuked Ohara over a theory, that pretty much confirmed it was true. Robin wasn't buying that he got this info from the government, so she asked how he knew. That's when Shaka dropped another shocker: the will of Ohara still existed. Shaka explained that he once knew Professor Clover, an absolute legend in archaeology whose charisma made Ohara the holy land of history nerds. After the government wiped it off the map, Vegapunk visited the ruins to pay his respects and found something incredible: a lake filled with books. The Oharan scholars had thrown their knowledge into the water, securing their legacy even after their deaths. Robin, remembering the moment she left her mother and colleagues behind, started tearing up. She confirmed that the Ohara scholars did uncover the truth, then asked where the books were now. That's when Shaka revealed that the books were salvaged by a crew of giants from Elbaf, led by a mysterious, bandage-wrapped leader. Vegapunk only found out who they were thanks to Dragon, who had also come to pay respects. Back then, Dragon was just a captain of the Freedom Fighters, and he was furious both at the government for their brutality and at Vegapunk for working with them. Vegapunk, always the realist, admitted that Dragon's ragtag group didn't have the money to fund his research, so he went where the resources were. Dragon wasn't trying to hear all that and declared that he would build an army to fight back. Vegapunk doubted it, calling Dragon too much of a pacifist, but before the year was over, Dragon, Kuma, and Ivankov officially formed the Revolutionary Army. The Straw Hats could barely process all this. But Robin had one last question: was the giant leader Saul? Shaka didn't confirm or deny it, but he did say the giant was alive and in hiding, bringing Robin to happy tears. Before they could have a moment, Shaka yanked them away using their magnetized shoes and dragged them straight to a monitor room because their captain was currently up to who knows what on the surveillance feed. Luffy's group did what they do best: got lost. But this time, it led them to a massive iron giant in the scrap heap, and of course, Luffy wanted to ride it before they could even try. Something crashed into the machine, and suddenly, there was a man half stuck in the metal, screaming about his failed experiment. Luffy pulled him out, and the guy immediately recognized Luffy and Bonney. Bonney, on the other hand, was not happy because this wasn't just some random dude. This was the original Dr. Vegapunk. Luffy was more impressed by the fact that the guy was floating, and Vegapunk casually explained that their Dom shoes could do the same. Next thing you know, Luffy, Chopper, and the Doctor shot into the air like balloons with no strings. Bonney wasn't here for the nonsense and demanded to know what happened to his massive head. Vegapunk, with zero shame, said it got too big, so he chopped it off. Luffy hit him with the hard-hitting journalism, asking if that made him stupid now. Vegapunk explained that he was already a genius, but thanks to the Nomi Nomi Nomi, he could store unlimited knowledge. The downside, his brain kept growing non-stop, so instead of carrying it around, he turned it into Punk Records, the giant egg at the top of Egghead. Now, he just uses his apple-shaped antenna to connect to it like Wi-Fi. He also revealed that he split his personality into 6 satellites, and they all update Punk Records daily. His ultimate goal? A world where everyone could access the same knowledge and share one big brain. Jinbei, being the logical one, asked what would happen if bad ideas got in. Vegapunk shrugged it off, saying knowledge was more important. Bonney wasn't hearing any of that. She pulled a beam saber on him and demanded that he fix her father. Vegapunk, unfazed, told her to turn the saber off because it was a failed experiment. Bonney wasn't buying it since it cut just fine. Then, right on, a swarm of bugs showed up because, apparently, the saber's light attracts insects. Bonney took one look and immediately fainted. Chopper checked on her while Vegapunk spiraled into depression, saying he couldn't blame her for wanting him dead. Trying to switch topics, he asked Luffy about the second dragon in Wano. After realizing it was his artificial devil fruit, he got excited until Luffy told him it was pink. At that moment, Vegapunk declared it a failure, not because it didn't work, not because it wasn't powerful, but because it was pink. Absolute perfectionist behavior. Luffy then asked about the Iron Giant. Vegapunk admitted he didn't build it and that it was actually 900 years old. But here's the crazy part: 200 years ago, this thing climbed the red line and almost attacked Marijua before randomly shutting down. Scientists back then decided to preserve it instead of destroying it. After mentioning that he needed to give Bonney something, Vegapunk dropped a bombshell: he wanted Luffy to take him off Egghead. Meanwhile, in the lab phase, the Straw Hats were watching all of this on the monitors when the Iron Giant came up. Shaka explained that he built the Vegaforce one based on it but couldn't replicate the power source. But there was no time to dwell on that because CP0 was breaking through the Sea Beast defenses. Pythagoras spread the news, and while Lilith suggested throwing the pirates under the bus, Shaka shut that down and told everyone to prepare for battle. Over on Momoiro Island, things got chaotic when Kuma, who was still under repair, suddenly got up and started sprinting toward the coast like his life depended on it. He kept falling, ripping off his medical equipment, and ignoring everyone trying to stop him. Then, without warning, he used his devil fruit to launch himself off the island. Back at Egghead, Luffy asked why Vegapunk wanted to leave. The scientist said he dreamed of creating free, unlimited energy for the world. Luffy was not impressed. Jinbei pointed out that wars happen because of energy shortages, and Vegapunk got all excited, saying energy was everywhere, he just needed to find a way to harness it. Luffy was still not impressed, but here, where it gets wild. Vegapunk's research into energy led him to discover the ancient power source of the Iron Giant, which tied directly into the Void Century. That, combined with Ohara's destruction, pushed him to continue Professor Clover's research. Their conversation got cut short when CP0 finally landed, causing an explosion. Vegapunk quickly wrapped things up, saying the government wanted him gone. After explaining CP0 to Luffy, he once again asked to be taken off the island. Luffy, still focused on the important details, agreed because he thought Vegapunk's head was funny. The scientist then told them to meet him in the lab phase and bring Bonney before Luffy could say anything else. Vegapunk straight up vanished into thin air. CP0 rolled up to Egghead, and Pythagoras tried to be polite about it, asking them to send S-Bear back and leave. But Lucci wasn't buying it. He straight up accused Vegapunk of covering up the mysterious disappearances of government ships from CP5, CP7, and CP8. Pythagoras was confused, saying those ships left just fine. While Lilith was so mad she almost let CP0 in just to prove them wrong. Instead, they cut communications, but right after. Pythagoras noticed something wild: the sea beast weapons were straight up eating the government ship. Meanwhile, CP0 had already made it onto the island using S-Bear's teleportation powers. Shaka immediately went into boss mode, ordering the researchers to evacuate, Atlas to return, and the Seraphim to mobilize, putting Sentomaru in charge. As the government ship got bodied by sea beast weapons, the CP0 agents debated whether they should take out Jewelry Bonney since she was rumored to be on the island. Lucci decided they were done with the ship and had S-Bear yeet them onto the island. Once they landed, Kaku, in peak brain-off mode, immediately attacked a giant space monster only to find out it was a hologram. Stussy, who had been here before, casually mentioned that little detail way too late, which made Kaku lose his mind. But he had already committed to the attack, so he tried to Jeppo his way straight into the lava phase. That's when Stussy, once again way too late, told Lucci about the Frontier Doma defense system that zaps anything crossing the double lines with lasers, and just like that, Kaku got absolutely cooked mid-air and crashed back down, looking extra crispy. As Kaku yelled at Stussy for her terrible timing, Atlas charged at CP0. Lucci wasted no time, went full hybrid leopard mode and blasted her with Rokuogen, knocking her out instantly. At that exact moment, Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper, and an unconscious Bonney just happened to run right in front of them. Luffy and Lucci locked eyes, both realizing they were about to run it back, but before throwing hands, Luffy ran to check on Atlas, asking Chopper to take care of her. Kaku tried to be the voice of reason, reminding Lucci that Luffy was now an emperor, and fighting him without clearance could start a war. But this is Lucci we're talking about, of course. He ignored that and started throwing punches anyway. Over at Marine HQ, Sakazuki got word that the Straw Hats were at Egghead. The Marines assumed Vegapunk had teamed up with them after realizing CP0 was there to assassinate him. Sakazuki then found out that Kizaru was already heading to Egghead on a separate mission, so he told him to hold up and wait for Marine reinforcements. Kizaru, always down for a big fight, immediately ordered every battleship they had to set sail for Egghead. Meanwhile, at Marine Base G14, Vice Admiral Dahl was yelling at Garp over the Den Den Mushi, trying to stop him from doing something reckless, but Garp did not care. He just shouted for Helmeppo, told him they were heading to Blackbeard's island, Hachinasu, to beat up some pirates and raise Kobe, and then invited him aboard like it was a casual road trip. Over at Red Port, Kuma, after warping himself across the map, crash-landed right into the red line without hesitation. He started climbing it like he was in a speedrun. The Marines immediately started blasting him with mortars, but Kuma didn't even flinch. He just kept climbing. They called for backup, but it didn't matter. Kuma was on a mission. Somewhere else, the Kid Pirates finally spotted Elbaf, meaning they were about to roll up to the land of giants and cause some chaos of their own. Luffy and Lucci were going all out in their awakened forms, and Vegapunk popped up on the monitors, casually asking the Straw Hats what was up with their captain's new power, but even they had no clue. To them, it was just more rubber shenanigans. That's when Vegapunk dropped a knowledge bomb. There was no record of the Gamu Gamu no Mi in any old books. Instead, he connected Luffy's Gear 5 to the legend of Sun God Nika. Then he hit them with the wildest theory yet. Devil fruits are actually the physical manifestation of human dreams for evolution. Every power represents a different future for humanity, but because they're unnatural, the sea hates them. Basically, devil fruits exist because people wanted them to, but Mother Nature said, nah. Meanwhile, Sentomaru pulled up with the Seraphim, thinking he was about to help CP0, only for Vegapunk to expose the agent's real mission to assassinate him. Sentomaru was shook, and Vegapunk wasted no time guilt-tripping him with all the favors he'd done for him in the past. It worked. Sentomaru flipped sides immediately. As the Seraphim joined the fight, Frankie started bawling when he saw S-Shark use Center Pink's ability, thinking his drinking buddy was dead. Vegapunk then explained how he'd been cooking up artificial devil fruits. Zoans were doable but expensive. Mythical Zoans were extra rare. Logias were a total bust. But Paramecias, he cracked the code by using lineage factor to create green blood, which gave the Seraphim their powers. He then casually declared them the strongest form of humanity, as if that wasn't the most terrifying thing ever. Back in the chaos, Lucci was getting clapped even with his awakening. Sentomaru then ordered S-Bear to attack CP0, S-Snake to guide the Straw Hats, and S-Shark and S-Hawk to hold back the agents. Kaku tried to override the Seraphim's orders but realized too late that the Pacifista chain of command had Marines ranked higher than CP0. Before Sentomaru could enjoy his victory, Lucci blasted him with a Shugen to take control of the Seraphim. The guy tried to block it, but Lucci still landed a fatal hit. Luffy, who had just been casually chatting with Sentomaru a second ago, was furious and immediately sent Lucci flying with a Gamu Gamu no Dawn Whip. The recoil sent Luffy himself spiraling into the ground like a human drill. As CP0's minions got wrecked by the Seraphim's devil fruit powers, Lucci tried to finish off Sentomaru, but Luffy popped up from underground with a gigantic head and tried to chomp him. Lucci dodged, but Luffy spit rubble at him, using the opening to body him with a Gamu Gamu no Dawn rocket with Lucci down for the count. Luffy regrouped with his crew and promised Sentomaru he'd get Vegapunk off the island. He then hopped onto the vacuum rocket. But as soon as his awakening wore off, he aged up like a deflated balloon. Bonney woke up totally confused, but before anyone could explain, they reached the lava phase. Bonney immediately went full rage mode, hunting down Vegapunk and blaming him for the bug attack, demanding he fix her father. The Straw Hats, meanwhile, were questioning why the government wanted the world's smartest scientist dead. Vegapunk flipped the script, asking what they'd do if the world's smartest scientist turned against them. That answer was enough. Back outside, CP finally got control over the Seraphim now that Sentomaru was unconscious. But there was still one big problem: the Frontier Dome's security was straight up unbreakable, so they decided to lock down the island instead. Stussy called out Lucci for picking a fight with an emperor, but Lucci just shrugged and said he didn't see Luffy as one. That confidence was short-lived because out of nowhere, the security system started acting weird. Lucci, smelling a trap, wanted to play it safe, but Kaku saw an opening. They reached the lava phase, spotted the Thousand Sunny, and Kaku immediately launched a Rankyaku at it. Unfortunately for him, Zoro had been napping on the ship and woke up just in time to block the attack. Now CP0 had a whole new problem to deal with. Meanwhile, Bonney finally caught up to Vegapunk, chasing him down with murder in her eyes, demanding he bring her father back, even though he swore he had a good reason for not doing so. The Vegapunks got together, ready to dip, but there was one big problem: CP0 had locked down the island. Lilith wanted to go full send with violence, but Shaka shut that down. Pythagoras hinted they had a secret backup, but Edison pointed out that helping them would put that ally in the government's crosshairs. Vegapunk didn't care and hit up the mysterious friend anyway, who was down with no hesitation. He then asked the Straw Hats if all 7 of them could hitch a ride, which got mixed reactions. Before they could argue, the Frontier Dome randomly shut down, letting CP and the Seraphim roll in. Nobody knew who did it, but they had no time to worry because things were about to get messy. Meanwhile, Luffy finally caught up with his crew, but the victory was short-lived when he realized he had completely lost track of Bonney. In the monitor room, the Straw Hats and the Satellites watched Zoro and Brook facing off against CP0, thinking it wasn't too bad, but then Shaka dropped the bomb. The Seraphim followed the agents, probably deciding the fight needed more chaos. Lilith and Edison rushed off to try and command them to fight CP0, while Frankie and Sanji followed to back them up. That left Nami and Usopp with Shaka, who started sweating bullets when CP0 told the Seraphim to destroy the lab. Bonney, meanwhile, was still on the hunt for Vegapunk. When she finally found him, he tried to hide, but she tricked him by turning herself into a crying little kid. The dude fell for it instantly. She then morphed into a buff monster, hit him with a time hack, and turned him into a child too. Now that she had him, she demanded to know why he lobotomized her father. Vegapunk swore the truth would only hurt her and that Kuma had volunteered. Bonney called Cap, but Vegapunk doubled down, saying he loved Kuma as a friend and was proud of him. Whatever happened was so painful he wished he could forget it. Bonney wasn't buying it. Then a locked door nearby started beeping. Despite Vegapunk's desperate attempts to stop her, Bonney melted the lock with oil shock and found a giant paw-shaped bubble inside. Vegapunk recalled a time when he and Kuma theorized that his powers could extract things beyond pain, like memories, but Kuma refused to test it. In the present, Vegapunk warned Bonney not to touch the bubble, calling it pain, but she knew better. As she reached for it, she was hit with a glimpse of Kuma's childhood running. Beaten, desperately trying to escape something, overwhelmed. She got kicked out of the memory world but was determined to go back and understand what really happened to her father. Meanwhile, Zoro was still fighting Kaku, who entered his awakened form, but the swordsman held his ground. Kaku watched the destruction unfold, feeling pretty good about himself, until he suddenly dropped to the ground. Stussy had just knocked him out by sucking his blood. Turns out, she was a clone of Buckingham Stussy from the Rocks Pirates and a secret ally of Vegapunk. Lucci tried to attack, but she dodged and hit him with a surprise sea-stone lipstick tube, weakening him before sinking her teeth in. Just like that, CP0 was done. Stussy then called up Shaka, letting him know she had taken care of the agents, leaving the Straw Hats stunned that Vegapunk had a mole inside the world government. Unfortunately, she couldn't undo Lucci's command to the Seraphim, so the lab was still in danger. Zoro and Brook kept holding the line while Lilith and Edison rushed outside. Lilith tried to command the Seraphim, but S-Hawk immediately went for her, and she panicked. Zoro blocked the attack, but she was too scared to try again. Edison showed up just in time, giving the Seraphim the order to stop. S-Shark still tried to laser him, but Sanji saved the day. With that, the attack finally ended. With Lucci and Kaku now tied up in Sea-Stone, Shaka invited Stussy to join the satellites and escape with the Straw Hats. Meanwhile, Luffy and Chopper had their own mission tracking down Vegapunk and Bonney before things got even crazier. Marco pulled up to Sphinx like, "What's good?" only to find out the Marines had rolled through looking for Whitebeard's treasure. Their captain, Radel, was on full villain timing, threatening to execute the locals one by one if they didn't spill. But just when things got bad, Weevil showed up like an angry tank, bodied the Marines, and sent them packing. Problem was, they called for backup, and the world government sent Aokiji, who shut Weevil down and took him prisoner. After hearing all this, Miss Buckin aka Buckingham Stussy, former Rocks pirate, ex-MADS scientist, and Weevil's hypeman, demanded that Marco go raise her son and also tell her where Whitebeard's treasure was. Marco thanked her for holding it down, but she could tell he wasn't convinced Weevil was really Whitebeard's kid, so she was like, "Fine, we'll get Vegapunk to DNA test him." Meanwhile, over on a marine fleet heading to Egghead, Kizaru casually served tea to one of the 5 elders, St. Jagartia Satyr. Like this wasn't about to be the most chaotic trip of his life. Back on Egghead, Sentimaru woke up and wasted no time. He still couldn't reach Vegapunk or get any updates, so he decided to go big, deploying all 50 Mark III pacifistas to help the Straw Hats escape with Vegapunk. Meanwhile, Luffy, Zoro, Brook, and Stussy regrouped with the others after Luffy's mission to find Vegapunk and Bonney ended in failure. Checking the monitors, Shaka spotted Bonney in room NICU, but Vegapunk was missing. Pythagoras was already searching, and since they couldn't dip without him, Nami suggested they split up to look. Luffy and Zoro stayed behind to babysit the still unconscious Lucci and Kaku. As Pythagoras searched, someone crept up behind him, and before he could react, boom, an explosion rocked the lab. Somewhere in the sky, Morgans got the scoop the world government was trying to assassinate Vegapunk, and Luffy was on Egghead instead of reporting the truth. Morgans, the ultimate clickbait merchant, decided to run a story saying Luffy was holding Vegapunk hostage and waging war on the government. Vivi, who was also there, called him out for lying, but Wapple told her to keep quiet before the government found them. Morgans didn't care. He was all about that bag. Back at the lab, Shaka saw Pythagoras getting jumped on the security feed and tried to call him, but then a shadowy figure destroyed the camera. Luffy also noticed his radio was dead. When he told Shaka, they realized someone was systematically taking out all the surveillance across Egghead. Meanwhile, the Straw Hats split up to search for Vegapunk. Nami, Brook, and Edison checked the 3rd floor of Building A, where Nami got distracted by a jewelry making machine. She tried to pocket a few shiny things but had to leave them behind, though she fully planned on coming back. Robin, Chopper, and Atlas searched another part of Building A, where Chopper geeked out over a factory producing artificial organs. In Building B, Sanji, Stussy, and Jinbei explored the development floor. And in Building C, Usopp, Lilith, York, and Frankie arrived at the spot where Pythagoras got attacked, only to find his severed body. But plot twist, he survived by ejecting from his big body before the hit landed. Then York spotted S-Snake nearby. Pythagoras yelled for her to back off, but it was too late. S-Snake, wielding Hancock's Miro no Mi powers, turned York to stone like it was nothing. When Lilith tried to command her to stop, S-Snake attacked, forcing the group to jump off the platform. Lilith and Edison were confused. Shouldn't they have the highest authority over the Seraphim? Then they realized communications were down, meaning they couldn't reach the main control room. Over in Building A, the lab suddenly got raided by S-Bear and S-Hawk, leaving Shaka just as confused. Luffy and Shaka arrived on the scene to find Zoro barely holding them off while also making sure Lucci and Kaku didn't get vaporized in their sleep. After dodging an attack, Shaka pieced it together. Someone inside the base was ordering the Seraphim to wipe everyone out. Lucci woke up, took one look at the chaos, and said, "Hey, maybe untie me and Kaku so we can help." Luffy and Zoro looked at him like he just suggested eating nails for breakfast. The Seraphim were going full Terminator mode, attacking non-stop. Zoro clocked that S-Hawk had Mr. 1 Super no Mi, meaning this dude was basically a walking sword now. Luffy and Zoro had to drag Lucci and Kaku out of harm's way, but Kaku was still on his just uncuff us agenda. He even promised to put the cuffs back on after, but Zoro wasn't buying it. Shaka straight up asked Lucci what their mission was, and Lucci, being the menace he is, just said, "Kill Vegapunk." The satellites and also Stussy for backstabbing me. At this point, Luffy knew they had no choice. He agreed to free them, but only if they promised not to go after his crew or Vegapunk after the fight. Lucci, being Lucci, hit him with the classic villain response, "I'll just kill you first." But hey, at least they had backup now. Meanwhile, in the basement of the old Devil Fruit Research Lab, Cypher Paul agents from CP5. 7 and 8 were literally rotting. They'd been locked up for 2 months with barely any food or water. Vegapunk woke up in the same cell and was shocked to find out Lucci wasn't just talking nonsense, these agents really had been disappearing. One of them said they were chased back to the island by Vegapunk's own Sea Beast weapons and captured. And then every agent who came looking for them got the same treatment. Vegapunk was stressed because there was no way the world government should have known he was studying poneglyphs. Yet here they were, trying to erase him. Over on Elbaf, a young giant was begging Shanks to let him join the crew, but Shanks was like, "Nah kid, you're too young." Then Rockstar ran in, reporting that someone was scrapping with their allies near the island. Shanks realized he'd been taking way too long to leave and promised the villagers he'd wouldn't let Elbaf turn into a battlefield. The Red Hair Pirates rolled out, backed by Dorian Brogy, and who was causing all this chaos? Eustace Kid. Shanks sent Rockstar ahead with a message: fight now or hand over your road poneglyphs and leave, out at sea. Kid and Killer realized they weren't even fighting Shanks' main crew, just their allied fleets. Killer reminded Kid that last time they fought, they didn't even get to see Shanks before losing, and Kid lost his arm. Now if they lost again, Shanks' crew would probably finish them off, but Kid wasn't backing down. Back on Egghead, the civilians were panicking, asking Sentomaru why he unleashed the pacifistas. His only answer: this place is about to get horrid. He just hoped the Straw Hats could get Vegapunk off the island in time. Meanwhile, in the command floor, Luffy, Zoro, Lucci, and Kaku were still throwing hands with the Seraphim. But these things weren't taking damage. Zoro noticed something familiar about them and realized they were built like King. Shaka confirmed that made sense because King real name Arbor was a Lunarian who escaped with Kaido. Zoro, finally putting 2 and 2 together, explained that their flames made them basically invincible, but when the flames went out, they could actually take damage. The others roasted him for not figuring this out sooner. While the fight raged on, Shaka slipped away, thinking he finally knew where Vegapunk was. Over in building A, Nami and Zeus were struggling against S-Shark, who had already knocked out Brook and Edison. Nami hesitated because the Seraphim looked like kids, so her attacks barely did anything. Just when S-Shark was about to counter, Sanji flew in with a kick and sent him flying. Over in building C, Lilith pulled out a bubble gun made with seastone properties, explaining that since the Seraphim's green blood gave them devil fruit powers, it also gave them weaknesses. S-Snake dodged the attack, but Frankie managed to trap her in a bubble. Everything was going great until he fell for her fake tears and let her go. Rookie mistake. She immediately turned most of his body to stone, then did the same to Lilith and Usopp when they tried to stop her. Turns out, even geniuses aren't immune to getting finessed. Deep in the basement lab, Shaka found Vegapunk and the captured Cypher Paul agents. Just as he was about to free them, Vegapunk saw someone else in the room before he could warn Shaka. The mystery figure pulled out a gun, shot Shaka in the head, and destroyed his helmet. Vegapunk could only watch in horror. Meanwhile, on the second floor of Building B, Stussy and Jinbei were still searching for Vegapunk when Stussy called Sentomaru with some devastating news. First, the world government sent CP0. Now a full-on marine fleet was on its way to erase Egghead, all because Vegapunk had been studying poneglyphs and creating weapons strong enough to threaten them. Sentomaru realized a buster call was coming and immediately ordered an island-wide evacuation. Frankie was out here looking like a half-statue, completely useless as S-Snake strolled in and stomped Pythagoras into oblivion. She then turned to Frankie, fully ready to turn him into a lawn ornament. Over in Building A, Robin's group heard the chaos and got worried. Atlas suddenly remembered the abandoned research section and led Robin and Chopper to check it out. Meanwhile, Sanji took over the fight with S-Shark, who quickly learned that punching Sanji was about as effective as punching a brick wall, thanks to his new Germa upgrades. Sanji was just eating those attacks like a breakfast buffet. Luffy's squad quickly realized the Seraphim weren't letting their flames go out, meaning they were still untouchable. Then, S-Hawk straight up disappeared. Lucci figured he was targeting the weaker fighters first, so Zoro ran off to find him since Zoro's sense of direction is a national tragedy. Luffy told Kaku to follow and make sure he didn't end up in another country. That left Luffy and Lucci to handle S-Bear. Elsewhere, Bonney was still crying over Kuma's memories, completely unaware of the madness happening around her. Flashback time 3 months before all this. Someone from Egghead snitched to the 5 elders about Vegapunk's research and weapons. That call triggered them to send Cypher Paul agents to investigate. Back in the present, the mystery shooter turned out to be York, freshly unpetrified and ready for betrayal. When Vegapunk asked why she was doing this, York hit him with the worst answer possible. She wanted to be a celestial dragon. Yes, she knew they were terrible. No, she did not care. She also admitted that she had planned ahead, realizing the world government wasn't just coming for Vegapunk but all the satellites too, including her. So, she secretly ordered the Seraphim to wipe out everyone except herself, Vegapunk, and the Cypher Paul hostages. She even had S-Snake turn her to stone, earlier just to fake out the others. Now, in real time, the citizens of Egghead were fleeing while a ship with the Blackbeard pirates flag rolled up, because things weren't chaotic enough already. Over near Elbaf, Kid's crew was facing off against Shanks' allies, but Shanks told them to step aside. After checking Kid's bounty and stats like he was reviewing a game character, Shanks saw a future where Kid's damned punk attack obliterated his fleet. So instead of waiting, he blitzed to the Vegapunk and sliced the railgun in half before Kid could even fire. That one attack, plus the explosion it caused, knocked out both Kid and Killer, the rest of the Kid pirates. Realizing their captain just got one shot, immediately surrendered and offered their road poneglyph rubbings in exchange for their lives. Shanks took the rubbings and left the Vegapunk just as Dory and Buggy hit it with a Hakoku, splitting the ship clean in half, and just like that, the Kid pirates were no more. Meanwhile, over on Hachinasu, Kobe was making his great escape thanks to Perona, who asked for one favor in return: free Gecko Moria, but before he could get too far, the pirates on the island realized he was worth a cross-guild bounty and started hunting him like he was the last PS5 in stock. While running, Kobe freed a bunch of captured Marines, then pulled a classic hero move by staying behind to act as a decoy. Blackbeard's commanders Shiryu, Avalo Pizarro, Vasco shot, and the massive San Juan Wolf started discussing how to capture him, all while Wolf just napped through the whole thing. Flashback time again. After the Rocky Port incident, Kobe got captured, and Blackbeard planned to use him as a bargaining chip to get the world government to recognize Hachinasu as a legit kingdom, with himself as king. But Kobe hit them with a plot twist: he was part of Sword, meaning he technically wasn't a Marine anymore. Kuzan explained that Sword members resigned from the Marines and operate independently, meaning the government wasn't responsible for them. So, Kobe was basically a useless hostage. Blackbeard didn't care, though, figuring Kobe's reputation might still work in his favor. Back in the present, Kobe kept running, but then he spotted an explosion across the island. A group of Marines had invaded, and one pirate tried to behead a Marine only to find out the guy was made of clay. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a Marine rear admiral named Kujaku, who also happened to be Tsuru's granddaughter, was using her whip powers to command buildings to move and trap the pirates. Kobe got surrounded, and the pirates were ready to blast him, but instead of bullets, flowers came out. Turns out, Hibari was on the scene, using GP flowers to jam their guns. She called over to Prince Gruss, the guy behind the Clay Marines, to confirm Kobe was safe, and with that, the chaos on Hachinasu was just getting started. Kujaku and Gruss had the pirates backed into a corner. Literally, Gruss used his clay golems. Kujaku whipped buildings into position, and boom, the pirates were stuck in a makeshift cage. That's when Tashigi and Helmeppo called in the real chaos. They had Garp's ship blast into the air like a Frankie coup de burst, launching straight toward the square before the pirates could even process what was happening. Garp made his grand entrance. He let them know they had seriously messed up by capturing his protege, then flexed his strength by hitting them with a galaxy impact. The punch didn't just knock them out, it basically remodeled the area. Gruss softened the ship's landing with his clay powers, and Garp stepped up to confront the pirates, grumbling about how he wasn't as strong as he used to be. Kobe and Hibari ran to greet him, but just as things were looking up, Kuzan pulled up and instantly froze Hibari. The Marines were shocked, and Garp immediately demanded to know what his former student was up to. Flashback time. A year after Akinu and Aokiji's battle at Punk Hazard, Kuzan was chilling in a bar when some of Blackbeard's crew tried to start trouble. He froze them without breaking a sweat, which led to Blackbeard himself showing up for a little chat. They shared drinks, and Devin casually asked about a guy with a burn scar who apparently has a road poneglyph and sails on a black ship that creates whirlpools to keep people away. Shiryu guessed that the guy might be working for the world government to stop pirates from reaching the One Piece, but Kuzan had no clue. Things almost got ugly when Laffit suggested they should just steal Kuzan's devil fruit, but Blackbeard smoothed it over and hit him with a business offer. Since Kuzan wasn't a Marine anymore, why not join the crew? Pirates team up for all kinds of reasons. So what did Kuzan really want? Cut back to the present. Turns out Kuzan took that offer and was now the 10th captain of the Blackbeard Pirates. That meant he and Garp were about to throw hands. Kuzan tried to freeze him with Ice Ball, but Garp just shattered it like it was made of glass and then sent Kuzan straight through the ground with a blue hole punch. Meanwhile, back on Winter Island, things were looking real bad for Law. The Heart Pirates had lost. Their submarine was in pieces, and Blackbeard was standing over Law like he was picking out his next meal. He was debating whether to take the Opop no Mi for himself, sell it, or just force Law to do the eternal life surgery, but before he could decide, Bepo popped a special medicine from Chopper and went full Sulong mode. He knocked Blackbeard back, grabbed Law, and yeeted them both into the ocean before Blackbeard could chase them. Law, barely conscious, didn't want to abandon his crew, but Bepo told him to trust that they'd survive while he focused on keeping Law alive. Over at Marine HQ, Sengoku and Tsuru were reading the news about T-Bone's death, and things weren't looking great. With Cross Guild handing out bounties on Marines, people were starting to turn against them. When Sengoku asked where Garp was, Hina casually dropped that he and Kujaku were on a mission to Hachinasu. Sengoku and Tsuru were immediately stressed. On Karibari Island, Buggy was busy congratulating the guy who killed T-Bone, even though the dude clearly felt awful about it. The guy only did it to help his struggling family, but Buggy assured him that he was now under Cross Guild's protection and his family would be taken care of with the bounty money. As the crew celebrated, one of Buggy's shipwrights announced that their new flagship was complete, but when Buggy saw it, his soul left his body. They had designed it in his image. which was the last thing Crocodile and Mihawk wanted. They immediately dragged Buggy off and beat him for the design choice. Crocodile and Mihawk then got serious, discussing their plans to build a military-like power, but Buggy wasn't feeling it. He thought they were aiming way too low. That's when he started reminiscing about his past with Shanks after Roger's execution. Buggy genuinely thought Shanks was going to follow in their captain's footsteps and become the next pirate king. He was even ready to sail with him, but when Shanks turned down that dream, Buggy felt completely betrayed. He refused to join Shanks' crew, using the excuse of still being mad about losing that treasure map that forced him to eat the Bara Bara no Mi. In reality, he was just heartbroken that Shanks had changed course. But now Buggy wasn't about to sit on the sidelines anymore. While Mihawk and Crocodile were still focused on their small-time ambitions, Buggy grabbed a Den Den Mushi and made a public announcement. Cross Guild was going after the One Piece. Mihawk and Crocodile were immediately furious, but it was too late. Buggy had just put them all on the biggest stage in the world. On Momoro Island, the revolutionaries were just vibing when they spotted a ship rolling in. Turns out, it was Sabo alive and well. Despite Lulusia Kingdom getting obliterated, he had dipped before the destruction, taking a few recruits with him, and managed to send a coded message letting them know he was good. But after that, he kept quiet to avoid the Marines tracking him. When he finally reunited with Dragon and Ivankov, they chatted about Kuma for a bit before getting into the real tea. What Sabo saw at Marijua. Sabo broke it down. He had completed the mission, declared war on the world nobles, torched their symbol, wrecked their food supply, and saved Kuma. Dragon and Ivankov gave him props, especially since it inspired a few kingdoms to start rebelling against the world government. One of those was Lulusia. So yeah, awkward. But they also mourned Cobra, a beloved king whose loss was a huge blow. On top of that, the world government was about to send the gods' knights after them. With Sabo as the #1 target, Sabo shrugged it off. If it helped the cause, he was cool with it. Flashback time back at the Lively. The revolutionary army was making moves. Karasu, who actually has the Susu Susu no Mi, Lindbergh and Morley were out here freeing slaves and keeping Fujitora and Ryakuju busy. Meanwhile, Sabo was sneaking around, hunting for the keys to the slave collars. That's when he spotted Kuma with St. Charlos, which was a major problem. At the same time, Cobra went to meet the world nobles, leaving Vivi under CP0's watch. But she wasn't having it after they just stood by and let St. Charlos try to abduct Shirahoshi earlier. As Cobra headed into the Elder's room, Pell and Chaka tried to follow, but the guards shut that down. Cobra told them to watch over Vivi instead, clearly worried she was about to do something reckless. Sabo kept moving through Pangaea Castle, taking out guards until he ran into Jewelry Bonney, who, surprise, surprise, is Kuma's daughter. Since they had the same goal, they teamed up. Sabo handed the keys off to Karasu and told him to get the slaves out while he handled something else. As Sabo and Bonney navigated the castle, they overheard guards talking about a mysterious room that no one is allowed to enter, and anyone who sees it disappears. Sounds like bad news, but they had different priorities. Bonney headed to Egghead, while Sabo made his way back to Kamabaka, promising to save Kuma. Inside the empty throne room, Cobra met with the 5 elders and started dropping history bombs. He brought up the first 20 kings who created the celestial dragons and how they were all supposed to rule equally. But Arabasta's ruler, Nefertari Lily, dipped instead of joining them. The weird part, Cobra found 0 records of her returning home. Instead, her younger brother took over. He asked the elders if they knew what happened to her, but they claimed ignorance, saying all records were lost. Cobra then hit them with the real question: what does the D in people's names mean? He had found it in an ancient letter passed down through Arabasta's rulers, and he wanted answers. Meanwhile, St. Charlos was back on his nonsense, trying to abduct Shirahoshi again. This time, he had Kuma backing him up. Her brothers tried to help but got stopped by Donquixote M. Josgard, who warned that attacking Charlos would put their kingdom in danger. Lucky for them, Sai and Leo did not care. They were pirates. No kingdom ties, no problem. They jumped in, knocked Charlos out cold, and Morley snatched up Kuma before escaping with Karasu. Back in the empty throne room, things took a wild turn. Imu, the shadow ruler of the world, decided to make their presence known. The 5 elders were straight up shook that they were revealing themselves. Cobra was even more shocked because he recognized the name from the ancient letter. It belonged to one of the original 20 kings. When Cobra demanded to know who they really were, Imu ignored him and instead started talking about the D in names. According to Imu, the D-bearers are the enemies of the world government, but modern ones don't even realize it. Then Imu hit Cobra with a major revelation. Lily had made a mistake that caused the poneglyphs to be scattered across the world, triggering the entire pirate age. Cobra was in deep. The elders whipped out their weapons, and Imu hit him with the ultimate pop quiz. Who really wrote that letter? Cobra knew he was done for. He even asked if lying would save him. But nah, his fate was sealed the second he laid eyes on Imu, so he told the truth. Nefertari D. Lily. The second that name dropped, Imu wasted no time and skewered him with a shadowy arrow. Sabo, who had been eavesdropping like a nosy neighbor, immediately jumped in, trying to take out the elders and Imu. But plot twist, Imu straight up ate his fire like it was an afternoon snack. Then things got even crazier. The elders and Imu transformed into full-on nightmare fuel, looking more like monsters than people. Sabo grabbed Cobra and tried to escape, but but a nearby camera Den Mushi caught him in the act. As they ran, Cobra, clearly on his last legs, dropped a bombshell on Sabo. Luffy saved him back in Arabasta. Then he told Sabo to pass on a message to Luffy and Vivi. They both carry the name of D that hit Sabo hard. He immediately thought back to Ace, who also carried that name before he could process it. Imu fired another arrow, piercing both him and Cobra. Somehow, he dropped Cobra, and the king made one final stand. While Sabo could only watch helplessly, Cobra faced the monsters alone, reciting the last words from Lily's letter before being absolutely demolished. Meanwhile, someone else was watching the horror show, Wapple. Yeah, of all people, Wapple accidentally witnessed everything. One of the elders noticed and turned toward him, but Wapple didn't stick around to chat. He bolted, using his powers to chew through walls like his life depended on it, because it did. Back in the council room, the kings were told that Cobra and Wapple wouldn't be attending the next session. Some thought Cobra was just chilling, satisfied that the warlord system was gone, but King Riku and King Neptune, they weren't buying it. Outside, Shirahoshi was finally freed and headed back to the port with her brothers, though she wished she could say goodbye to Vivi first. Vivi, however, had bigger problems. In a guest room in Pangaea Castle, she was tied up and held hostage by CP0. She demanded answers, but they weren't spilling anything. The only thing they told her was that once she disappeared, she'd probably end up as some celestial dragon's new pet. Disgusting. She did get some good news, though. Shirahoshi was safe, and Sai and Leo had gone full Straw Hat Grand Fleet mode. Plus, Fujitora and Ryakuju had thrown hands, while Fujitora helped free some slaves. Just as Vivi was trying to figure out an escape plan, Wapple crashed into the room in full panic mode. Without missing a beat, she jumped straight into his mouth before CP0 even realized what happened. Wapple, still running for his life, didn't have time to argue. Meanwhile, his wife, Kinderella, saw this and thought they were eloping. Wild day for her. The Lavely finally wrapped up, but things were a mess. Arabasta's delegation, Pel, Chaka, and Igaram, were freaking out because both their king and princess had vanished. They had no idea Cobra was gone for good or that Vivi was currently hiding in the cargo hold of a random ship alongside Wapple. Wapple, needing an out, called up Morgans, the king of tabloid news, and offered him a deal. Pick them up in exchange for some serious scoop. Vivi tried to get Wapple to spill what he saw, but he wasn't talking. Elsewhere, Sabo and Bonney had also managed to escape and were heading to their own destinations. Then the news dropped, Cobra was dead, and Sabo got framed for it. Over in Marijua, the Elder Stars now officially sat down for a strategy meeting. Saints J. Garcia Saturn Science and Defense, Marcus Mars Environment, Topman Warcury Justice, Ethan Baron Venus Juro Finance, and Shepherd Jew Peter Agriculture discussed how to deal with Sabo. Imu pulled up on their call and gave them a new order: activate a weapon called the Mother Flame and wipe out Lulusia Kingdom just because it was nearby. Absolute overkill. Imu also ordered Vivi's recapture. With rebellions breaking out across the world and the warlord system officially dead, the Marines started deploying Seraphims of Doflamingo, Gecko Moria, and Crocodile to crush the uprisings. Meanwhile, Sabo finished telling his story, explaining that when he reached Lulusia, the people there hailed him as a hero for killing Cobra. They overthrew their king, fully believing Sabo had done it on purpose. Thanks to Betty's Kabu Kabu no Mi, Sabo couldn't even correct them. He left with the people who wanted to join the revolutionaries, made his call to Dragon and Ivankov. And that's when he saw it, Lulusia Kingdom getting completely obliterated by some massive shadow in the sky. Ivankov recognized the name Imu as a ruler from the Nerona dynasty, one of the first 20. His theory, they found a way to extend their life unnaturally. As for the weapon that wiped out Lulusia, he suspected it might be something Vegapunk created. But Dragon had a darker theory: what if it was one of the ancient weapons Robin had told them about? And if so, why use it now? Meanwhile, Marijua was in shambles, with their food supply gone. The celestial dragons were starving. The only thing they had left was cake, and that wasn't going to cut it. To make things worse for them, one of their own, Mjosgard, was executed for protecting the Neptune family during the Lively, and leading the execution, none other than the supreme commander of the Gods Knights, Saint Figarland Garling, a former resident of God Valley. Alright, picture this: we're at a marine shipyard, and Brano is flexing the absolute madness that is Garp's training routine. Dude didn't hit the gym, he hit entire battleships with his fists, and not just one, but two. Turns out, Kuzan used to be Garp's gym bro, and they'd spend their mornings punching boats for gains. No hacky, no devil fruits, just straight up raw hands. Legendary behavior. Meanwhile, back on Hachinasu, Garp is in full beast mode. He eats San Juan Wolf into the ocean like he's skipping a rock, and when Vasco Shot tries to burn him with liquor fireballs, Garp just grabs two random pirates and uses them as meat shields. The pirates start sweating because if Garp doesn't destroy the island, Blackbeard will destroy them for letting him try. Hujaku gives the all clear for the escape, but just as they're about to dip, Kobe hears someone calling for help. Classic hero moment. Except plot twist, it's a trap. Shiryu, the invisible menace, sneaks in and stabs Garp right in the gut. Big mistake. Garp immediately punches him into the Earth's core, but the damage is done. The pirates see Garp bleeding and suddenly get bold. Remembering he's got a cross-guild bounty worth 3 billion, Kuzan steps in like, even if you tied this man up, you still wouldn't take him down. Then he and Garp throw hands literally as they trade hacky punches. Kuzan reminisces about his training days. Back when Garp was like, train with the marine instructors. Kuzan, being the overachiever, was like, nah, I already clapped them, I need a real challenge. Eventually, Garp gave in and over time they bonded, with Garp even ranting about his family drama. Fast forward, and now they're fighting like it's a tragic anime finale. While that's happening, Avalo Pizarro decides he wants his 15 minutes of fame and starts flexing his Shima no Mi powers, forming giant island arms to crush the Marines. Kobe panics, but Garp, bleeding out and still dropping motivational speeches, tells him that justice will prevail. Classic Garp. We cut to a flashback where Garp, being the absolute menace he is, gives a marine ethics lecture. The scenario: an old man and a baby are stranded on an island full of beasts. Who do you save? Kobe, ever the good boy, says both. Garp calls that wrong and says you leave the old man and save the baby because life expectancy. Gets chewed out by the instructor, but Garp is just here for chaos. Back to the present, Pizarro's island hand is coming down and the Marines are ready to abandon ship. But Garp has other plans. He lays out a wild plan. He'll create an opening. Helmeppo will cover, Kobe will destroy the hand, and Gruss will catch the debris. Kobe asks how, Garp just yells at them to move. Kuzan is still in shock that Garp is even standing, and before he can react, Garp pulls off an anime teleport move, smacks him down, then leaps up and hits the island with a galaxy divide. Pizarro, feeling the pain from his own devil fruit, is stunned, and Kobe sees his. Gruss asks what the plan is. Kobe, no plan, just living up to Garp's expectations. 2 years ago, Garp had a little chat with Helmeppo about Kobe's training. Turns out, despite Garp's brutal regimen, Kobe still wasn't feeling strong enough, so what did he do? Instead of getting a good night's sleep like a normal person, he snuck out every night to punch battleship bags until his body was basically begging for a break. Fast forward to the present, and now it's Kobe's moment. Pizarro is dropping an entire island hand on the marine ship. The pirates are laughing, and the civilians are panicking. But Kobe, he winds up, swings with everything he's got, and lands a honesty impact so strong it completely destroys the island hand and wrecks Pizarro in the process. Everyone watching is straight up speechless, while Garp just laughs like he knew all along. Helmeppo catches Kobe midair. Gruss uses his clay powers to shield the ship, and the three of them land safely on board. Tashigi calls for Garp to get on the ship, but Garp tells them to leave without him. Kobe wants to turn back, but Garp shuts that down. He stands there, completely surrounded by pirates and Blackbeard's top officers, and Kuzan takes the chance to freeze him with an ice spear just like Saul, but even frozen solid. Garp drops one last message: these young Marines are the future.
In some random town, people are running like it's a crazy sale day, grabbing newspapers falling from the sky. The headlines are wild. Grandpa Garp is missing at Pirate Island, and Emperor Luffy is holding Egghead hostage. At Makino's bar in East Blue, everyone's shaking their heads, not believing a word. The mayor's like, Garp's a legend, probably tossing pirates around somewhere. One guy's freaking out, shouting at Makino's baby, but that kid just laughs at Luffy's silly grin in the paper. Up on Mount Kalubo, Dadan's a total wreck, crying like she's in a sad movie. What are those fools doing? She yells. Her bandit crew's panicking. Dogra's muttering, Pirate Island's a trap, nobody gets out. Then, boom, birds fly off, and the ground shakes like a giant's dancing. A tsunami crashes in, and it's over. They're calling this the biggest earthquake ever. Laboons splashing at Twin Cape. Lagatown's streets are splitting, Water 7's flooding, and Momo and Wano's like, not again. Even Mary Geoise gets rattled, but those celestial dragons, just chilling in their sky mansions, not caring one bit. This quake's got a dark shadow. 6 days after Lulusia got erased like it was nothing. The Navy's saying it's just a huge watery hole now. Seas are up a whole meter, beaches are gone, islands are underwater, and some guy's yelling, "There's a shark in my living room." Fishermen are pumped, like, time to catch some dinner. Cut to Egghead, where the Navy shows up like it's a blockbuster movie. 100 warships, 30,000 soldiers, 9 vice admirals with grumpy faces, except Dole, who's looking amazing, and who's causing trouble. Kizaru, that shiny guy, going down on Chicken Ramen like it's no big deal. Sentamaru's sea beasts are throwing down, but Kizaru's like, oops, and blasts a robo, giraffe to pieces with his Yada no Kagami, bright enough to make you squint. Sentamaru's mad, shouting, stop hitting my beasts, uncle. Kizaru's all, it started it, relax. Sentamaru's not backing down, says Vegapunk made those pacifista lasers from Kizaru's powers, never thought he'd come to take out his own boss. Kizaru's like, the void centuries against the rules, man. I'm just doing what the Navy says. He blames the Straw Hats for stopping CP0's plan to get Vegapunk, but the news, it's all wrong, saying Luffy's got Vegapunk locked up. Morgan's is out here making up stories, and Saturn's loving every bit of it. On a warship, Saturn's sneaking around. One of those 5 elders guys whispering, don't tell anyone I'm here. Vice Admiral Dubberman's nervous, talking fast. CP0's gone quiet. Lochikaku Stussy got beat by Senamaru's pacifistas in the Fabrio phase. The Frontier Dome's locked up tight. Nobody's getting in or out. Saturn's glaring at Morgan's fake news like, what's really going on? Doberman says, Straw Hats, Vegapunk, his satellites, and 4 Seraphim are hanging out in the lab phase. The tech team left yesterday. We're tracking their boats. Saturn's cold. Sink those geeks. They know too much. Doberman's like, Bonney's with the Straw Hats. Saturn's all, she's just a little girl, let her go. This guy's okay with wiping out thousands of researchers, but gives Bonney a pass. What a villain. Then Kizaru's team catches a secret call. York's on a black Den Mushi, dialing up Mary Geoise like it's a hotline. The elders, Mars, Jupiter Neuro, are listening in like they're spying on a juicy chat. York's complaining, why are you trying to get me? I told on Stella. Mars is like, you're still a Vegapunk, tough luck. York's not scared. Egghead's mine now. I got Seraphim ready to roll. You want trouble? Jupiter's like, hold on, can you make that mother flame thing? York's laughing like a bad guy in a movie. The power plant's ready. Keep me in the lab safe, and I'll be your fancy celestial dragon. Mars gives in. Okay, deal. York's mood flips. Help. Luffy's gonna crush me. Cut to the lab phase. She's tied up Zoro's sword right by her neck. Luffy's smiling like it's a big joke. Usopp's shouting through the snail. We're using her to get out of here. Bonnie's eating Sanji's pancakes, Nami's ready to swing, and York's freaking. We start with the Navy's point of view. Vice Admiral Doberman is on deck, sizing up the situation. He says, no mistake about it, inside the Labophase research layer are 7 people, including Dr. Vegapunk himself, plus 4 Seraphim guarding them. He adds, we also think the Yonko Straw Hat crew, 10 members strong, is siding with them. Here comes Luffy. Stealing the spotlight, he grabs the Den Mushi from York, takes a big breath, and yells, hello. My name is Monkey D. Luffy. I'm the one who'll become the king of the pirates. His crew flips out shouting, whoa, whoa. Luffy, what are you talking about? But he keeps going. We have Dr. Vegapunk if you want to save York's life. Clear all the ships from the shore. York's wailing. Help Straw Hat's gonna kill me. While Marine's listening and gasp, he's so evil he's as vicious as they say. News mogul Morgans loses it. What is he doing? What? Luffy-san, what is this all about? Is he threatening the 5 elders? He's making a mockery of authority as always. Mars asks, are you Straw Hat Luffy? And Luffy fires back, yes I am, is that a problem? Don't provoke them even more. And Mars presses, who is still alive in there? Luffy starts, well, some people are injured and but Robin cuts in with a clank, grabbing him. She scolds, why did you do that? Information is a weapon. You must not give it to your enemies. Luffy says, I see. Sorry, but now the ships will be gone. Usopp snaps, no way you think the Navy's that dumb. Luffy's bold hostage play has everyone on edge back with the fleet. Saint Saturn lays down the law to Doberman. He says, Stee Saturn, there are 3 things we must protect York's safety. Their brain punk records, and the power plant that creates the mother flame. All else is expendable. Doberman hesitates, but Rob Lucci and other Cypher Paul agents are still. Saturn cuts him off. I'm just talking about the worst case scenario. Don't lose sight of our highest priorities. You should consider human lives as nothing more than insects. They reproduce quickly, even if their numbers dwindle. Doberman swallows hard and says, yes sir. The elders are ice cold. They'll sacrifice anyone to secure York, Vegapunk's brain data, and that mother flame power plant Luffy's threat isn't scaring them off yet. Inside the Labophase, tension explodes. York, still tied up, smirks at the Straw Hats. Listen, you fools, I made a pact with the 5 elders. If you touch me, you'll all get destroyed along with the island, just like Ohara. That hits a nerve, and Nami smacks her hard, yelling, that hurt? How could you say such a thing in front of Robin? I won't forgive you. York cries, I'll tell the 5 elders. Nami snaps, go ahead, and Zoro steps in. Whoa, whoa, she's unarmed, trying to cool things down. Chopper asks, Robin, are you feeling okay? And she smiles, yes, thanks to you, Chopper. He blushes, that doesn't make me happy, you fool. Vegapunk chimes in, I should thank you guys too. If it weren't for you, I would have been killed by York. Kaku, resting from his injuries, grumbles, we couldn't have done it alone. While we were running from the Seraphim, he came in at the right time. I just ran into you while looking for Ronoa. How pathetic I am, but I was against 2 Seraphim at the same time. Zoro smirks in the end, you were saved by me. And Kaku snaps, shut up, ouch. Then mutters, alright, go to sleep. Damn. While Usopp's on the comms, hey, are you guys behaving down there? The basement lights up. Usopp connects with the Cypher Paul agents who cheer. Straw Hats, thank you for the food. You guys saved our lives. So good, I feel alive again. I'm alive thanks to you guys. One says, hey, there are enemies, keep your voice down, but they beg, now just let us out of here. Usopp laughs. I'm glad that you're okay now, but that's too much to ask. They switch gears. Then could you at least relocate us? We can't relax with them around, someone asks. Is there a problem? I thought that the Seraphim were on your side. Another replies, yeah, but in case they go berserk, Frankie jumps in. They're safe, right, Vegapunk? He explains, of course. Those bubble balls are made of the same material as Pacifista Mark III's bubble shields, which even deflect cannon blasts. They're created with sea energy, so they're the perfect weapons for trapping devil fruit power users. An agent says, oh, I thought they were just ordinary bubbles, bah. And his snake grumbles, how dare you trap me in this thing, bah. But adds, you don't need to be scared of us. None of us were ordered to kill you. We have no interest in you. The agents sigh. Oh yeah, then we don't need to worry. Frankie grins, but I'm grateful to you. Is Snake, you undid the petrifications on us. Vegapunk's confused. She did that. That's strange. I never programmed as Snake to do that, but flashback time, Luffy spots as Snake and yells, "Hey, Hancock, they're my friends, please, undo it, she's stunned." What? But he pleads. Come on, only you can save them, so please, as Snake stammers, all right, so just stop looking right at me, and undoes the petrification. Usopp marvels. Oh, is that what happened? Jinbe laughs. Even the original Hancock, a nasty piece of work, has a soft spot only for Luffy. How funny, her Seraphim is the same way. Vegapunk's mind is blown. Hancock, the information transmitted through the bloodline elements when producing clones, is really interesting. Nami adds, Lilith was depetrified and let me use her bubble gun, so I could capture all the Seraphim at once. Luffy cheers. Thank you for everything, Hancock, thank you. And as Snake blushes hard. What? Did you just say I love you? Atlas sounding the alarm. Stella, the communication system has been restored, but the Frontier Dome still won't open. Dr. Vegapunk grumbles. While York tied up in smug taunts, it's pointless, I protected it with a passcode. But my brain's not cinched with all of you, and I won't tell you. Lilith snaps. What should I do with you? But Edison steps in. Lilith, calm down. York keeps gloating. I'm protected by a code in the world itself. If we can't deactivate the barrier, we can't escape, and someone groans. What? Even after all I did to help us escape? Another voice snaps. I told you that didn't work. And I'm sure the world government never intended to let us off the hook in the first place. Stussy drops a bombshell. We're completely surrounded in all directions. Stella. There are about 100 ships of various sizes and 30,000 soldiers. Admiral Kizaru is there too. Vegapunk sighs. It's quite an event. As Stussy's welcome back, Stussy-sama coffee. She says, thanks. Vegapunk asks, tell me about the shipping route, and Nami checks her log pose. The log pose hasn't recorded the signal yet, but we have one steady needle from the land of Wano. It's pointing northwest. Vegapunk cuts in, oh, that'd be Elbaf. Luffy and Usopp explode Elbaf. Are we going there? Finally, they chant, Elbaf Baf, everyone's big because they're giants. Edison's puzzled, why are they so excited? Vegapunk explains, fortunately, your ship is in the Lubbo phase now. The Navy ships are off the shore in all directions. It's impossible to sail out of the port. The northeast direction we'd be heading is the backside of the island. Luckily, your ship is beside the Vegaforce 01. He adds, we could use the Vegaforce 01 to fly over the Navy's blockade, but that robot can only fly within the airspace over Egghead, so once it leaves the airspace, it'll quickly plummet. That's not far enough to escape. But Frankie jumps in. No, once we get that far, we'll use the Sunny's Coop to burst to fly even farther if we fly a kilometer away. They won't be able to catch us. Vegapunk stunned. What? That ship can fly that far. It flies on Cola. And Vegapunk says, great, let's go with that. The plan kicks into gear. Vegapunk orders. Lilith used the Vegaforce 01 to move Straw Hat's ship to the backside of the island. Lilith cheers. I know, okay, but warns. First, we have to deactivate the Frontier Dome. York taunts. I won't tell you the code. Vegapunk Atlas and Edison shout, let's crack it, don't underestimate Vegapunk. Brooke muses, I guess we have a plan now. I don't think it's all gonna work out the way we want it to. But Usopp says, true, but we won't know for sure unless we try. Luffy declares, if you're gonna the Sunny, I'm coming with you. Let's leave for Elbaf already. Bonney adds, me too, I'll help you too. Frankie says, oh, thanks. And they yell. All right, let's start the operation, Lilith says. Let's move the ship to the backside. The barrier could come down at any minute. Frankie warns, yeah, I hope that doesn't cause more problems. And Luffy asks, you don't want it to be down. Frankie replies, why do? But if we're going to be able to escape, it means the enemy's attacks will be able to get through. Luffy goes, you're right. Lilith admits, actually, this is my first time leaving the island. Luffy laughs, this isn't a field trip. Then frowns. Either way, we need more food. Bonney agrees. We'd eat all of this in one day. Let's get more pizzas. Cheese is enough. Luffy says, if we have the ingredients, Sanji will make us pizzas. Bonney gushes. He's pretty cool, huh? He's a good cook and a good fighter. Luffy asks, why are you in a good mood now? Kind of creepy. Earlier, you were so bitter against Old Man Apple. Bonney smiles. Yeah, I won't kill Vegapunk. And Luffy teases. What a relief. You were crying all night, weren't you? She snaps. No, I wasn't. It's a sweet moment as the team rallies. Meanwhile, the Marines get serious. A soldier yells. Transmission from Mr. Rob Lukshi, we now know the situation inside. Lukshi reports for seriously injured. 2 of Vegapunk's satellites dead. Saturn asks Kizaru, did you hear that? Borsalino. Kizaru drawls, yes I did. He was talking a big game like he was in control. But it seems like they're actually trapped inside. Saturn says, the Frontier Dome is a laser defense system, correct? You are light itself. Can you get inside? Kizaru replies, quite frankly I can. But a good friend of mine is defending Vegapunk below it. Saturn snaps, you can just jump over him. Kizaru pushes back. It wouldn't be cool of me to humiliate a man who is determined to stand in my way. Let me at least stick to my principles. Besides, if we attack them, Sentomaru will order countless sea beast weapons and the 50 pacifistas to sink our ships. There will be tremendous damage. Saturn asks, we can't take too much time then. Do you know the location of the power plant? Kizaru smirks. Rob Lukshi is a capable man. All the information we need to know was sent to us. The fleet roars into action. Prepare for battle, prepare for battle. If you can use the 6 powers, make for land as soon as the battle begins. Free the captured Cipher Paul agents. Artillery fire won't work on the pacifistas' aim for the sea beast weapons. Luffy's group reaches the Sunny and Vegaforce 01 Luffy's bouncing. This is fun the ground of a sky island. Frankie snaps, I know, it's exciting. But get serious, look, there's the Sunny. Suddenly, a flash. Kizaru shouts, Sacred Yata Mirror, and beams himself onto Egghead. Sentomaru's ready, axe in hand. You're finally here, Uncle Pacifistas. Kizaru calls, here I go, Sentomaru-kun. Sentomaru roars, bring it on. Uncle, my defense is the greatest in the world. Their fists collide, and back in the Labo phase, Luffy freezes. What's that? Light from below. Someone's here, someone's strong. The story starts with a bang as Kizaru calls out to Sentomaru and lands a powerful kick. The impact causes a huge blast, shaking the ground beneath them. Sentomaru doesn't back down, though he fights back with his own mighty strikes, showing off his incredible strength. Kizaru smirks and says, as always, incredible strength. Ha, but Sentomaru stands tall and shouts, I won't let you pass from here. Uncle. The two warriors leap at each other. Their clash so intense it sends a shockwave rippling across Egghead Island. You can feel the power even from outside the island, it's that wild. Meanwhile, the Marines are making their move. Vice Admiral Doberman yells. Admiral Kizaru charges in. He leads Vice Admiral Dull and 9 other Vice Admirals in a bold attack against the Pacifista Mark III units, those giant robotic weapons built to protect the island. Let's go, Doberman commands. And the Marines unleash a storm of cannon fire. Don't let them fire lasers. He shouts, the cannons boom, and the attack works perfectly. The Vice Admirals land on the island, ready to fight. A Marine cheers. Alright, keep supporting the Vice Admirals like this. The excitement is high. But it doesn't last long. Suddenly, the Sea Beast weapons roar into action. These massive, terrifying creatures start attacking the battleships, smashing them left and right. One Marine yells, it's the Sea Beast weapons. Another cries, we're in trouble. A third rallies the group. Let's get them before they get us. Just as a Sea Beast sneaks up behind some scared Marines, a Vice Admiral jumps in with a shout, leave it to me. He unleashes his Steam Knuckle attack, a steaming punch that smashes half the Sea Beast's face, saving the day. The danger keeps coming, though. A Seraphim, a powerful robotic figure, gets ready to blast the ships with lasers. Before it can fire, Vice Admiral Doll leaps into action. Don't shoot the ship, she yells, soaring through the air. You're dealing with me. She lands a crushing kick on the Seraphim's head, causing a loud boom that echoes across the shore. Other Vice Admirals land too, taking down Pacifistas with their skills. Bluegrass, one of the Vice Admirals, says. The Vice Admirals landed on the island as well. He turns to Dole and asks, where is the lab where they're holding the Cypher Paul agents? She points ahead and replies, over there. The Marines are pushing forward, and the tension is rising. Inside, the Straw Hats are watching all this chaos unfold. Usopp exclaims, the Navy and the Robot Sea Beast started fighting at the shore. Brooke, confused, asks, what? Why now? Vegapunk steps in to explain. As long as Sentomaru is commanding the Pacifistas, the island's defenses are iron tight. He lays out the Pacifista authority hierarchy, the 5 elders, himself and his satellites, Sentomaru, and the authority chip. Usopp's eyes widen as he figures it out. Isn't that why he came to take out Sentomaru? Nami gasps when she hears Kizaru's name. Brooke adds, no way. Nami asks, is he here already? Brooke replies, he's now fighting right below us. York, tied up on the ground, smirks and taunts them. You people are done for. Zoro glares at her, shutting her up quick. Sanji mutters Kizaru. Huh. Brooke shivers and says, this brings back some unpleasant memories from Sabati Archipelago. Chopper nods sadly. At that time, we couldn't fight back at all. Zoro, staying cool, says, I never thought I'd see him again on this island. The Straw Hats are worried, and you can feel the weight of their past with Kizaru hanging over them. Back on the battlefield, Sentomaru swings at Kizaru, but the Admiral vanishes in a flash of light and pops up behind him. Vegapunk, watching from the lab, cries out, I can't believe he has to fight Kizaru. I'm sorry, Sentomaru. That battle is too cruel. I wouldn't blame you for running away. Edison tries to lift his spirits. Keep your chin up, Stella. Focus on cracking the passcode for now. Atlas agrees. Edison is right. Let's hurry. Vegapunk nods. Okay, they're racing against time while the fight rages on. Kizaru moves like lightning around Sentomaru, too fast to keep up with. Just surrender. Sentomaru-kun, he taunts, hitting him with a light speed kick and then firing off his Yasakani Sacred Jewel, a dazzling attack that shoots loads of lasers at Sentomaru. Sentomaru fights back, shouting, I'm sorry. Uncle, Straw Hat Luffy and I made a promise. Kizaru raises an eyebrow. Straw Hat, since when did you side with pirates? Sentomaru dodges the lasers, grabs his axe, and leaps at Kizaru. Any ally will do, he yells. If it helps me get who I'm indebted to off this island. He swings his axe and cuts Kizaru in half, or so he thinks. Kizaru's light body reforms, and Sentomaru's jaw drops as a flashback takes us back in time. We're in a forest years ago. Young Kizaru and Vegapunk are walking together. Kizaru says, we've been getting a lot of calls lately about wild bears attacking islanders around here. Vegapunk replies, I hope the extermination device I developed will help. They hear a noise and walk toward it, only to find a tiny Sentomaru surrounded by beaten animals. Kizaru blinks. How odd, we were asked to hunt bears, but Vegapunk finishes. Did that child take them down? Kizaru asks the kid, did you beat them? In the cutest voice ever. Sentomaru chirps. Yeah, I beat them in sumo. He's so adorable you can't help but smile. Vegapunk says, you're strong. Where are you from? Sentomaru puffs out his chest. People from my village are weak, and I hate them, so I won't go back there. Kizaru teases. You got kicked out, didn't you? Sentomaru insists, I'm strong and I don't even get hungry, but I want to work. Oh, something you'd like to buy. Sentomaru's stomach growls, and he yells, rice balls. Everyone bursts out laughing at such a sweet moment. Back in the present, Kizaru sighs. You were so adorable. The flashback picks up again. Kizaru asks, work. Vegapunk nods. I guess you're confident in your physical strength. Kid, do you want to be my bodyguard? Sentomaru's eyes light up. Are you gonna hire me? I'll do it. Later, he's bouncing around Kizaru. Calling. Uncle. Uncle. Kizaru chuckles. Are you calling me? Sentomaru asks, how should I protect old man Punk? Kizaru grumbles. Uncle, makes me sound like some old geezer, but Sentomaru keeps going. Teach me how. Uncle, it's clear they had a special bond back then. In the present, Kizaru says, I did my best to teach you. Sentomaru cunt. Sentomaru charges at him with his sumo strike, landing a hit that makes blood drip from Kizaru's mouth. But Kizaru doesn't flinch. But my defense is as strong as yours, he says. Sentomaru's eyes widen in shock as Kizaru points a laser at him. A massive explosion rocks the island, leaving Sentomaru down and the Marines staring in awe at the destruction. Kizaru walks over calmly and picks up the Pacifista Authority chip. Pacifistas, he says, your commander is unconscious, so the mission has changed. Work with the Navy ships to sink the Sea Beast weapons. The Pacifistas, who were attacking the ships, stop and turn their lasers on the Sea Beasts. One Sea Beast looms over a battleship, Marines running for their lives. When a Pacifista blasted in the head, one by one, the Sea Beasts fall. A Marine shouts, now is our chance. Let's follow the Vice Admirals. The tide of the battle is turning. Doberman gets on a call with Saturn, one of the 5 elders. The command to the Pacifistas has been overwritten, he reports. Saturn sighs. Such a waste to sink them, but if we have to choose, we choose the Pacifistas. Report the damage that has occurred in the last few minutes. Doberman replies, yes, sir. The Marines are winning, but at a cost. Back in the Labo phase, Usopp yells, Sentomaru has been taken down. Vegapunk gasps. What? Chopper whimpers. But he was so strong, Nami mutters. Kizaru has no mercy. Vegapunk, tears in his eyes, urges, hurry up and deactivate the defense system. We can't let Sentomaru's efforts go to waste. Atlas nods. Okay, York sneers, it's pointless, I'm Vegapunk too. But no one pays her any attention. Kizaru looks up at the sky. Vegapunk warns, Kizaru is light itself. He can get past the laser barriers. Usopp panics. What? Does that mean he can get here? Vegapunk nods. Yes. Usopp trembles. We were once beaten badly by him. Kizaru grins. It's been a while. Straw hats and shoots upward like a beam of light on the Vega Force 1, which is carrying the Thousand Sunny. Frankie shouts, hurry up. Hurry up, as soon as the barrier comes down, we'll escape. Lilith replies, so far, so good. I'll just carry the ship to the back. Luffy, we're counting on you. Bonney says, let's eat while we still can. Luffy nods, yeah, you can't fight on an empty stomach. Frankie scolds them. Hey, why are you guys eating now? We're gonna escape soon, guys. Then an emergency alarm blares and Frankie asks, Lilith, what's this about? Lilith stammers, an emergency alarm. Why? I thought this place was impenetrable. Kizaru, moving as pure light, enters the Labo phase and declares his mission protect at any cost. The power plant, Punk Records, York, and ideally one's good friend. But Alas, destroy at any cost Dr. Vegapunk. Usopp screams. Kizaru penetrated the dome. Luffy and the others are outside. Brook gasps. That can't be good. Nami orders. Tell him through the snail. Usopp yells. Luffy, run. Vegapunk insists. Until the ship's relocation is complete, I won't deactivate the barrier. Inside, Stussy is sipping tea when she suddenly drops her cup in shock. Lucci, the pigeon guy, attacks Vegapunk, but Stussy jumps in front, taking the hit. Blood spills from her mouth as Vegapunk cries. Stussy. Sanji gasps. Stussy-chan. He turns to Nami. Nami-san, let me borrow this. Nami blinks. What? Damn. What did you do? A bubble gun. Sanji snaps. Seems like he abandoned you. Zoro pulls out his sword and charges at Lucci, who blocks the strike. Zoro growls. Since your allies arrived, you got carried away. Lucci smirks. Between Kizaru and me, you guys are done for. Zoro shouts. Don't underestimate us. Their attacks clash, shaking the room. Zoro pushes harder, slamming Lucci into the wall so hard he crashes outside. In the air, Kizaru watches Punk Records from a distance, then shifts his attention to the Vega Force 1. He descends like a flash of light, saying, I wondered why their ship wasn't on the shore. It's here. Bonney yells. Hurry up, Frankie shouts. Kizaru, he's a Navy admiral. What should we do, Luffy? Luffy doesn't hesitate. Before Kizaru can say, hey, long time no see, Luffy launches a hacky, charged kick. Kizaru blocks it and mutters, that's rude. Luffy grins wide. Kizaru, we're 100 times stronger than we were 2 years ago.
We kick things off with a flashback to the Kamabaka Queendom, where Kuma's supposed to be chilling after the Revolutionary Army yanked him out of Marizua's clutches. But nah, this dude's got other plans. Out of nowhere, he bolts upright and starts sprinting like he's late for a pirate party. Koala's losing it, yelling, Kuma-san, where you headed? You're still half busted. Kuma trips, eats dirt for a sec, but keeps hauling ass. Ivankov's like, yo, what's the deal? Koala's all, I don't know, it's wild. Then guy from the Revolutionary Army pipes up, man, he's supposed to be a mindless bot by now. Koala's begging, Kuma-san, come back. But Kuma's not hearing it. He zooms to the shore, warps in a flash of light, and poof, he's gone. Naruto says he's off to the Red Port. Next thing you know, Kuma crashes into the red line at Red Port like a freaking meteor. The Marines are having a full-on meltdown, blaring over the speakers. Everybody, get out of here. It's dangerous. This guy's a celestial dragon slave, lost his human vibes, and we don't know what he's programmed to do. Run. Kuma's like, put, and starts climbing the red line, gripping the rock like it's a gym wall. Determination oozing out of him. Cut to the day before at Marizois. Kuma's made it to the top, and the Celestial Dragons are acting like they just won the lottery. One of them gloats, the invincible slave's back, baby. While another's barking, soldiers stop him. Cannons are going boom left and right, but Kuma's strolling through like it's a Sunday walk. A soldier yells, "Grab him!" They slap a chain around his neck, and the dragons are cheering, "We got him!" But hold up, something's fishy. A soldier gasps. What's he doing? Oh no, we're toast. Kuma's hands start glowing and he roars, "Ursa Shock!" The blast hits like a nuke, shredding everything. Buildings, egos, you name it. Celestial dragons are flying like rag dolls. One of those snooty dragon sneers. What an insolent slave. Then, bam, Fleet Admiral Sakazuki, aka Akainu, struts in like he owns the place. He glares at Kuma, growling, "What's your deal, Kuma? First the Revolutionary Army, now this. You're causing a whole mess." A soldier stammers, "Fleet Admiral Sakazuki," but a celestial dragon stomps on his head, whining, "You soldiers are useless." Hey, Akainu, I wanted lobster for dinner last night, but they were out. Another one chimes in, "That's never happened before." What's up with Marizois' food supply? A third one's like, "Forget that, I got hurt." Akainu's not here for the drama. He locks eyes with Kuma, voice cold as ice. "Here's the thing, Kuma. If we can't control you, we ain't letting a dangerous dude like you roam free. You're supposed to be a mindless husk. You're basically dead. Where are you even going?" His hand lights up with magma, and he charges with a hellhound punch that melts half of Kuma's face. Akainu smirks. "Didn't know you still bled like a normie." Kuma drops to his knees, looking done for, but nah, he's back up, running like a champ. Akainu's pissed, hurling magma fists. Kuma dodges a few, but one blasts his leg clean off. Still, Kuma warps away in a flash, leaving Akainu shook. We flash to a burning island in the new world. Akainu's looming over a tied-up jewelry Bonney, all smug. "Heard you escaped the government." Gave me chills. But it's over now. Bonnie's spitting fire. "You jerks. I'll make you pay." Akainu's like, "Cry all you want, kid." Kuma's gone for good. He signed up to be a weapon. Bonnie's screaming, "That's a lie. No way, he'd never ditch me like that." The flashback fades, and back in Marizois, a celestial dragon's yelling, "Hey, where's Kuma? You let him bounce? You're the admiral." Akainu's just standing there muttering, "Where you off to, puppet? You got no mind left." Now we're on Egghead Island, present day, and it's pure chaos. A marine's shouting, "Pacifistas," Navy grunts, "Keep blasting, take out those sea beast weapons." The Pacifista Mark III lasers are lighting up, and those sea beasts are dropping like flies. Another marine's like, "Storm the Faberia phase, take the island." Kizaru's already in the Leba phase up in the clouds. Inside the Leba phase, Luffy's in Gear 4 Snakeman, unloading a fist storm on Kizaru. Gum Gum, Black Mamba. His punches are flying faster than you can blink. Kizaru's blocking with his light powers. All, "Not bad, kid. I see why you took down Kaido. But why's a pirate like you guarding Vegapunk?" Luffy fires back. "You tell me. Why you trying to kill Old Man Apple?" He swings hard, but Kizaru deflects with a kick, sighing. "It's not like I wanna..." Then, whoosh, Kizaru shoots up into the sky like a rocket. Luffy's squinting. How high is this dude going? Floating up there, Kizaru's thinking, "I don't want to kill Vegapunk. I've known him forever. So stay out of this, Straw Hat." He powers up, then dives down with acceleration is power. A kick so hard it sends Luffy crashing through Vegaforce 01, splitting the giant robot in half. Kizaru flashes back to Vegapunk's hype moment. It's done. Vegaforce 01, the dream of mankind. A giant robot. Too bad it's toast now. Lilith, stuck inside Vegaforce 01, is screaming, "What's happening? I thought I was gonna die." She scrambles out as Frankie, Bonney, and the Thousand Sunny drop onto the clouds. Lilith sees sparks flying and yells, "Oh no! Frankie, Bonney, run! Vegaforce 01's gonna just run." Boom! It explodes, sending them flying. Lilith's crying, "Our dream robot, gone." Frankie's fuming, "This ain't cool. Is the Sunny okay?" Bonney points, "Yo, Straw Hat got yeeted too." Kizaru steps up and Frankie snaps. "Kizaru, you jerk." Kizaru looks at Bonney, smirking. "Dang, Bonney, you grew up quick. Kids these days, man, you here for revenge. They put a hit on your least favorite scientist." Bonney snarls, "Shut it! Vegapunk's not my target anymore." She charges with Age Skewer, but Kizaru dodges like it's nothing, saying, "I'd rather not hurt folks I know." Then, wham! He kicks her into the Leba phase barrier, where she gets zapped by lasers. Frankie's screaming, "No!" That's the death zone. Bonney. Frankie's done playing. He powers up. "How dare you, Kizaru? Radical!" But before he can fire, Kizaru vanishes. Frankie's like, "Huh? Where'd he go?" Lilith's panicking. Stella's in danger. Frankie, call him. In the Laba phase control room, the Den Den Mushi's going ring. Usopp grabs it. Yo, control room. Frankie, you good? There was a massive explosion. Frankie's like, Usopp, everyone all right? Usopp's all, yeah. We're cool, Frankie warns. Good, cause he ain't there yet. Usopp's confused. Who you talking about? Then Vegapunk jumps in. We did it. The defense system code. It's cracked. Namie's hyped. For real? Edison's grinning. Told you we'd nail it. Atlas taunts. Eat it. York's tied up. Grumbling. What? You annoying brainiacs. Sanji's like, we free to bounce now? Vegapunk nods. Yup. Sorry for the wait. You two grab my luggage for the ship. Jinbei and Sanji are on it. Where's it at? Vegapunk's like, second floor, super important stuff. Frankie's still on the line. Usopp, listen up. No time to chill. Usopp's like, yo, what's the deal? Vegapunk adds, Frankie-kun, we can drop the barrier anytime. You move Vegaforce 01 and the Sunny to the back? Frankie starts, nah, but before he can finish, Kizaru pops in. All casual. Sorry, Vegapunk. Your escape plan's kaput. Everyone's freaking out, Kizaru? Atlas stammers. When did you get here? Nami's panicking. What? What happened to Luffy? Usopp's muttering, we're so dead. Brook's like, this ain't good. How'd he sneak in? Vegapunk's like, you behind that explosion? Kizaru nods. Yeah, your fancy robot's in pieces. Sorry about that. Vegapunk gasps. No way. Atlas and Edison are screaming, what? Kizaru's all, look, this mission's rough on me. Let's wrap it up quick. Then boom, a huge blast shakes everything. Vegapunk's like, what now? Nami's yelling, what's next? Outside, Luffy pops out of the explosion, all goofy. Ow, it's hot. Ow, ow. He's cracking up. I'm back. Kizaru's shook. No way. Luffy goes full gear 5, bouncing through the air like a cartoon. Frankie and Lilith down below are like, what the heck was that? Kizaru's eyes are darting, but Luffy's giant hand snatches him from behind and yanks him up. Everyone's eyes pop out. What? Luffy, now a grinning giant, goes, man, that was hot. Kizaru's caught, muttering, there you are. Luffy's laughing, thanks for yeeting me. I hit that barrier twice and thought I was toast. Down in the Fabira Foss, the ancient Iron Giant's eyes light up vibing with Luffy's Gear 5 heartbeat. Yo, this is nuts.
The episode kicks off with Luffy, still rocking his giant Nika form, holding Admiral Kizaru like he's deciding whether to keep him as a pet. Down below, Usopp's having a meltdown shouting, you almost stepped on us. Luffy, towering over them like a rubbery skyscraper, just chuckles, my bad, as if nearly squashing his crew is a minor oopsie. Kizaru, unfazed, peers up at his captor and deadpans. Wow, you got quite big. The guy's got the energy of someone commenting on the weather while being held hostage. Luffy grins, I'm not handing over Old Man Apple. Kizaru sighs, I'd appreciate it if you'd just let me do my job. Luffy's not having it. Standing up straight, Kizaru's still in his grip like a shiny action figure. Then the fun begins. Luffy starts spinning Kizaru like he's winding up a top, round and round, until he yells, here we go. Kizaru mid-twirl mutters, go easy on me, come on, sounding more annoyed than scared. With a flick of his wrist, Luffy hurls him like a fastball, sending the Admiral soaring across Egghead Island. Usopp and Chopper watch, eyes glittering with tears of awe, as Luffy cheers. Look at him go aw! Somewhere in the distance, Kizaru's probably regretting every life choice that led to this moment. Back on the ground, Brook's having an existential crisis, or at least pretending to. I finally got to see Luffy's new form with my own eyes. He says, pausing dramatically before adding, oh, but I don't have eyes. He's cackling at his own joke, then keeps going. It shook me to my core. Oh, I don't have a core either. The skeleton's on a roll, but Nami's not here for it. She smacks him square on the skull and snaps. Shut up. Nami's already moved on, barking, before it's too late, we gotta run. Usopp nods, yeah. While Luffy is holding Kizaru back because they all know this distraction won't last forever. Chopper's fretting over logistics, muttering, we have to carry Robin carefully and Stussy too. Until Edison, let's call him the gadget guy, chimes in, oh, we have stretchers. You can carry them with one. Chopper perks up, great bails. That helps. Suddenly, Vegapunk spots something on a screen and nearly chokes. Why are you there? Bonney. He's staring at the Faberio phase below, where Bonnie's apparently causing havoc. Chopper, confused, asks, where are you going, Atlas? Atlas is all business. I'm going down below to take back control of the pacifistas. Otherwise, as soon as the barrier goes down, they'll get us with their lasers. Edison's hype. That's a great idea. There's no higher authority than Vegapunk on this island. Whoever controls the pacifistas wins. Atlas nods, yeah, I'm going. Vegapunk tries to stop her. Wait, Atlas. Then hesitates. Well, but I will go with you. Usopp's flabbergasted. What? You can't possibly go. Vegapunk blinks. Why? Usopp's practically begging, because this whole thing is about them trying to kill you. He's waving his arms. Let's just wait here. But Vegapunk's not listening. Stubborn old man's got a mission. He grabs his Den Mushi and calls Frankie. Frankie, Kun, do you hear me? Frankie's voice booms back. Yeah. Vegapunk drops the bombshell. It seems like Bonney is down there. Frankie's thrilled. She's alive. That's great. Then he admits, she was kicked by Kizaru and slammed into the barrier. Vegapunk's jaw drops. Kicked? How does a grown man like you let her get kicked? Frankie's sheepish. It's my bad. I'm sorry ya. Vegapunk's resolute. I'm gonna go save her. Frankie warns, but the barrier... And Vegapunk cuts him off. I've made up my mind. I'm going... Edison can deactivate the barrier from building A, second floor. Sanji's voice crackles through. Hello, this is Sanji speaking. I've been listening. He's fuming, seriously fuming. She got kicked. That's definitely unforgivable. His chivalry's in overdrive as he insists. If you're gonna rescue Bonnie-chan, count me in. Jinbe, calm as ever, says Vegapunk. We've picked up all your so-called luggage. I will head toward the rear exit. Let's all meet up there. Vegapunk nods. Roger that. We have no time to waste. Edison, I will leave the rest to you. Atlas adds, count on me. Vegapunk rallies. All right, let's go, Atlas. And they're off, the call ending with a satisfying clank. Frankie's kicking himself. If only I could have moved a little bit faster. Lilith snaps him out of it. Come on, worrying won't do you any good. Just go. I will handle the rest here. Frankie strikes his iconic pose, arms crossed, chest puffed. I'm going then. Lilith's exasperated. Just go already. Take care of the Sunny. By the way, I can't believe Luffy was able to lob the formidable Kizaru so far. Frankie's proud. Of course he could. Our captain will never be defeated. Down in the Faberio face, Marines are sprinting, shouting, keep moving, run, run, run. One spot's rustling in the bushes. Something just moved. Another calls, hey, you there, come on. It's this way? The guy replies, yes, sir, but Bonnie's lurking, whispering, I guess it's dangerous here too. She sneaks up on a Marine. I'm right here. Whacks him on the head, snags his gem, and turns him into a kid. Another Marine hears the scream. What was that scream? Bonnie's on a tear, flipping between child and adult forms, kicking butts and aging Marines into toddlers or geezers. One's yelling, answer me. What's going on? She reverts to normal, smirking, and keeps fighting, taking down more with ease. A Marine on the Den Mushi reports, reporting in. We've all been turned into children or old people. Another warns, damn, stay away from the town center. We believe Jewelry Bonney the pirate is there. She's hiding somewhere. Be careful. She'll manipulate your age old and child Marines grown. Somebody, get this off me. Where did she go? Others shout, find her. She must be around here somewhere. And take her down. Bonney ducks behind a wall, panting, damn-o. Marine spot something. Right here, we found Sentomaru-o, but he's burned to a crisp. Bonney whispers, Sentomaru. Flashback. As she fell from the lava phase, Sentomaru caught her wheezing. Run, the Navy's coming. He collapses, and now hiding, she mutters, Sentomaru, what should I do? Marines are closing in. Have you found her? No. Go check that way. Yes, sir. Bonney sighs. I wonder if I can hide until it's all over. Back in the lava phase, Zoro's had enough. Hey, come out already, he shouts. Rob Lucci's voice echoes, let us do our job, Roronoa. Don't get in our way. He slinks into the shadows for a surprise attack, but Zoro's not fooled. Even if you hide, even if you move around, I can tell where you are because of that animal stench. Lucci lunges from behind, claws out, but Zoro dodges, and they clash, nails scraping swords, sparks flying. They trade blows, neither giving an inch until Zoro flips upside down, slamming Lucci into the clouds below. Luffy, still giant, laughs. You're fighting. Zoro, want my help. Zoro, dodging Lucci's claws, snaps. No, I don't. Just focus on Kizaru. He charges his swords with Haki. If this is the best you can do, don't expect to get a chance to go up against our captain. Lucci smirks. You're surely strong enough to be the number 2 of an Emperor of the Sea. Killing you would be rewarding. The tension's thick, Zoro's not playing around. Outside Egghead, Kizaru's still airborne, hands folded like he's napping mid-flight. I'm going to fall into the sea, he muses, then zaps himself back with Yasakani's sacred jewel, splitting into multiple light clones. He zooms toward Luffy, who's floored. What? Clones draw? Oima no Murakumo swords? Slashing at him. Luffy dodges, but one nicks his cheek, drawing blood. He yelps, then retaliates with Gumdon Whip, kicking a few clones. It didn't work. Was it a holla holo? He grumbles, dodging lasers, they're shining. Too bright. He balloons back to giant size, and Kizaru quips, this again. Luffy starts slapping clones like mosquitoes, but some escape, climbing his arms. Kizaru says, well, it's not so bad after all. A bigger target is easier to hit. They aim for his mouth, but Luffy blows them away with a puff of air. They cling to trees, then launch back. Luffy runs on air, cartoonishly panicked. Which one is the real one? He tricks them, lining them up. Just kidding. Tricked you! And flattens them with gum. Gum Dawn stamp. Did I get the real one too? He wonders, then sees a blast at the lab, eyes popping out. I was the one who got tricked, eh? Brooks yelling, hey, you let go of Usopp. Kizaru's got Usopp by the collar. This is strange, where did Vegapunk go? Well, you tell me. Usopp screams, Luffy ow. Luffy spots Vegapunk, Atlas, and Sanji in the Vegatank 8, shouting, Old Man Apple. Sanji's scrambling. Wait, let me in, Vegapunk. What's wrong? Why are you so upset? Vegapunk's livid. Don't touch her, damn Navy soldiers. I'm coming to save you now, Bonney. How could I leave a child like her in the lurch? Atlas snaps. Get in already. I permit you to ride. Just shove yourself in anywhere. Sanji's confused, shove myself, but squeezes in. Usopp groans. That hurt. Luffy's frantic. What are you doing? Stay in the building, or you'll get killed. Kizaru floats up. Where do you think you're going, Vegapunk? He points his laser, and Atlas panics. We're in danger, Stella. Kizaru fires, but Luffy leaps in, eating the laser like it's a drumstick. Light leaks from his eyes and mouth as he struggles to hold it in, shocking everyone. Lilith stunned. He came back. Frankie by the Vegatank shouts, Lilith, use General Frankie to carry the ship. I will catch this ride and meet you there. She replies, got it, Auden. As the Vegatank jumps, Luffy releases the light, causing a massive explosion. Vegapunk yells, Edison. Now, Edison activates. All right, Frontier Dome, partially deactivate, reactivate. Frankie's screaming, we're falling, we're falling. But Vegapunk switches the vehicle mode, and it glides on clouds. Marines spot them. Wait a minute, I thought so, that's Dr. Vegapunk. On the Den Den Mushi, a Marine reports, this is the Faberio phase on the island. I have a report. Dr. Vegapunk came down from the Labo phase above, prepare to attack. Aim, guns and Pacifista Mark III as take aim, but Atlas pops out. Oh, all Pacifistas. Vegapunk has a new order. Wipe out all Navy soldiers on the island. Marines scream, what? As the Pacifistas turn and fire. Saturn sits, meditating hilariously, watching the chaos unfold. So we start off right after Vegapunk pulled a fast one, basically telling the Pacifistas, hey, switch sides. On the ground, the Navy soldiers are having a really bad day. You hear one soldier yell, oh no. This time and then the Pacifistas zero in. Their robotic voices announce, target change, wipe out Navy soldiers. The soldiers are scattering like pigeons, yelling, get away from the Pacifistas. Out on the Navy ship, Vice Admiral Doberman can't believe what he's seeing. He shouts, Vegapunk must have overridden the order. The regular Navy guys are grumbling, geez. I can't believe we lost the Pacifistas. Damn Vegapunk. Yeah, plot twist. Up in the Vegatank 8, which still looks like a big, bright red toy car on wheels. Frankie is super excited. That's it. Pacifistas keep attacking. Vegapunk is happy too. Looks like it worked. Then Frankie notices their vehicle is pointed straight down. Hey, why are we going straight down? Aren't we falling? He yells, probably getting a bit of a roller coaster feeling. Vegapunk, cool as a cucumber made of science, explains. Island clouds have the property of attaching to each other. He adds, the tires of this Vegatank are made of island clouds, so it won't fall. Okay, sure science. He quickly changes the subject. Enough about that. Atlas, search for Bonney. She must be alone and terrified. Atlas, sticking her head out, shouts, Bonney, where are you? Bonney? Sanji joins in the search. Bonney-chan. Sanji decides he needs to use his special skills. He closes his eyes, very focused. I need to focus, he says dramatically, feel her. Give her my whole heart and soul, because locating a lady is the most important thing, always. After a bit, he shouts, my lady dar got a ping. I found her. Atlas is confused. Where is she? All I see is the Navy soldiers. Frankie is a bit doubtful. Are you sure? Sanji gets serious. Has my radar ever been wrong? See answer, probably not about ladies. Vegapunk, for some reason, trusts Sanji's weird power. It's unscientific, but I'll trust it. Sanji says thanks, but then looks at the tank. But this tank is too slow to keep up with my impatient heart. With that, he leaps out announcing, I'm on my way. Bonney-chan. Down on the ground, a Pacifista walks up to two Navy soldiers, attacks them, and keeps going. Bonney shows up, hiding behind a wall, feeling happy. I'm glad that the Pacifistas are on our side again. But suddenly, Navy HQ Vice Admiral Pomsky attacks her from behind. She dodges because she's quick. I finally found you, he yells. Jewelry Bonney the pirate, how could you do that to my men? Other soldiers come running and start shooting at her. She dodges all the bullets. Then she uses her special move, NDE. She shoots the soldiers. They go down not dead, but completely knocked out. Pomsky is confused. Hey, what's wrong, guys? One soldier answers from the ground, sounding spaced out. I crossed over to the other side. Hilarious. Pomsky yells at Bonney to come back, but a pacifista steps in front of her. I won't let you go, it says. Bonney is shocked. What? Why? Then another vice admiral shows up. This This is Bluegrass riding on a Pacifista Mark III. She explains proudly, even if it's just this one, I'm in control, regardless of the authority hierarchy. I can control anything I ride, because I'm a driving human who ate the ride fruit. She looks angry. If I kill you, will the curse you have placed on our men be lifted? The Pacifista she's riding starts to power up its laser to attack Bonney, but Bonney sees the face of Bartholomew Kuma, her father, on the robot. She freezes, unable to move, lost in her memories. Dad, she whispers. Bluegrass shouts at her to undo the aging on her men. Just as the laser is about to fire, Sanji arrives. He kicks Bonney out of the way just in time. Bonney, Chan, you need to pay attention, he tells her. Bluegrass sees him. Black leg. Sanji says to Bonney, I heard it. Kuma is your father, right? He gets serious. But you must accept that those are not him, or else you are. Before he can finish, the first Vice Admiral Pomsky, who attacks him with a move called Otter Hammer. Sanji dodges easily, one enemy after another. He sighs. Bluegrass tells her Pacifista not to let them escape, but then other Pacifistas still on Vegapunk's side attack her robot. Both Vice Admirals are suddenly too busy fighting the robots to stop Sanji. Vegapunk arrives in the Vegatank. Bonney, he calls out, get in, Sanji, Kun. Bonney. Atlas yells, the Pacifistas are on our side now. Let's head back up. Bluegrass is yelling at her robot to fight, but it gets punched and she falls off. The Vegatank drives away. Back in the Laba phase, the rest of the Straw Hats are carefully putting Robin onto a stretcher. Chopper is making sure she's comfortable. Be careful. Put her on carefully. Usopp says he knows. Nami asks Robin if she's okay, and Usopp says she has to hold on a little longer. Robin thanks them. Nami says, okay, let's go. But Stussy, who was hurt before, says, I'll stay. She adds, I still have some work to do. Edison seems to understand. Stussy, he asks, then says, okay, then we'll just go. Usopp is surprised, but Edison insists. That's what she wants. Let's go. Usopp argues a bit, but Nami just says, we'll see you later then, as they leave Stussy behind. Now, things get really serious. We see Saint J. Garcia Saturn, one of the 5 elders, sitting on his ship. He stands up. Get ready, from here things go wild. Your heart might want to run away. We see Zoro fighting Lucci, and it's as intense as you expect. Lucci pushes Zoro back and moves super fast, saying, that's no use resisting. You can't defeat us. Zoro, cool as always, replies, and never learns. Kizaru shoots light at Luffy, who dodges easily, bouncing around like rubber. Kizaru chases him, saying, we have our reasons. Luffy just yells, I don't care. Back to Zoro and Lucci. Swords clash against Sharp Claws again. Lucci says, you guys are toast. Zoro answers, bark all you want. We see Saturn for just a second, building up the big moment. Then Kizaru is back on screen, getting ready to kick. I'm sorry, he says to Luffy, but if I spend all my time on you, I won't be able to complete my mission. Luffy, being Luffy, dodges by stepping right on Kizaru. He says, and that's my mission. Then we see quick shots of Luffy fighting Kizaru, Lucci fighting Zoro, and Saturn getting ready. It feels like everything is happening at once. Glass falls in Saturn's room, and then a huge strange power bursts out around the sea near Egghead. Everyone feels it and is shocked to Luffy, Kizaru, Zoro, Lucci, Chopper. Chopper yells, wait, Nami asks what's wrong, and Chopper says, well, I don't know what it is, but Jinbe feels it too. What's this unearthly presence? Dark clouds gather over the sea. Doberman is stunned. I can't believe this. Saturn's room is now empty. Then, a voice is heard across the island. Stand down, Pacifistas. And they all just stop moving. In the Vegatank, Vegapunk is surprised. What? The Pacifistas stopped guarding us. Atlas tries to give orders. Come on, Pacifistas. Protect us. Follow my order. But they don't move. Atlas realizes the terrifying truth. The only ones who are above us on the authority hierarchy are the 5 elders. Suddenly, there's a big blast on the island and the Navy soldiers are shocked. Then, a strange glowing 5-pointed star shape appears on the ground. A pentagram. The soldiers yell. They start running away. Frankie in the tank says, what the oh? Sanji, feeling the strange power, says, this is odd. Get to high ground. Vegapunk agrees. From the sea, Doberman's voice comes over the speaker. Soldiers on the island. Saint Saturn of the 5 elders will make landfall on Egghead. No one below the rank of Commodore may behold him. The soldiers are completely shocked. And elder. The warning repeats as a huge explosion happens where the pentagram is. Sanji in the Vegatank yells, what's that explosion? Vegapunk can't believe it. The 5 elders. One of them came all the way to this island. Frankie asks, confused, the 5 elders. Who the hell are they? Vegapunk explains, they're the highest authorities in the world. Bonney looks terrified hearing this. Then, something big starts coming out of the pentagram. Sanji points. Something's coming out of there, and Saint Saturn appears with a scary entrance. Navy soldiers yell, what's that? It's a monster. One soldier looks right at him, even though they were told not to. Saturn sees the soldier and, with just a look, makes his head explode. It's messed up. Saturn speaks, his voice low. Solid ground. He says, it has been a while. His title pops up on the screen, Saint J. Garcia Saturn, Godhead of Science and Defense, 5 elders, highest authorities of the world government. Bonney yells, what's that monster? From above, Kizaru, still moving fast, shoots a laser at the Vegatank. They dodge the laser, but Kizaru hit the cloud road, and now they start to fall. Kizaru, looking a little guilty, says, oops, that was close. Vegapunk cries out, oh no, the island clouds. Sanji holds Bonney tight as they fall. Luffy comes running through the air, yelling at Kizaru, stop right there. Kizaru sees he's tired. I think you're reaching your limit with that form. Frankie yells from the falling tank. Please, Luffy, do something. Luffy stretches out his arm, dodging another light blast, rolling around like a cartoon character. He gets ready to attack. Gum gum, star, gun, he shouts. Kizaru tries to dodge, but the attack seems to curve and hits him right in the head from behind. Kizaru's head squeezes in a funny way. He says, this is no good. He gets knocked down, crashing into a building. Luffy, completely out of power, sighs, I've reached my limit. He turns back into his normal, skinny self, looking old and deflating like a balloon. Air comes out of him and he falls to the ground too. At the same time, the Vegapunk drops and hits the ground hard. Everyone falls out, but somehow they are okay. Sanji held Bonney while falling. Frankie asks if Vegapunk is okay, and he says not to worry. Sanji asks Atlas if she's hurt, and she says she's fine. As they get up from the crash, Saint Saturn walks towards them. Vegapunk asks, are you Saint Saturn? Saturn says, indeed. He looks at Vegapunk. I thought you were already dead. Vegapunk. He brings up something from the past. I gave you an order. Vegapunk. Bonney sees Saturn and remembers the terrible sight of her father, Kuma, a slave with no feelings. Sanji calls out to her, Bonney-chan. Saturn says the order he gave Vegapunk about Kuma. You will not leave him any free will. Bonney's eyes fill with tears and rage. She remembers Kuma being taken away. But then Kuma, she thinks, tears flowing. Filled with anger about what happened to her father, she sees a sword nearby. She grabs it and stabs him right in the chest. And that is where this crazy episode ends.
We kick off with Vice Admiral Doberman yelling like he's auditioning for a drill sergeant role. An elder, Saint Saturn, has made landfall. Everyone except Vice Admirals and Rear Admirals move away from the town center. You should refrain from beholding his holy visage. The low-ranking Marines gape like tourists. What's really going on? Even the admirals are at the beck and call of just a single celestial dragon. An elder stands above all those gods. Such a being came all the way here from Mary Geoise. One genius adds, I've only seen them in portraits, because apparently Saturn's a rock star and they're not worthy of his backstage pass. Doberman ditches his ship and stomps toward the island, probably to polish Saturn's hooves. Meanwhile, Bonney's still trying to turn Saturn into a pincushion. Vegapunk, the resident babysitter, screeches, Bonney, what do you think you're doing? Doberman lands, clutching his pearls. Saint Saturn, how dare you, Jewelry Bonney, you stabbed an elder. He's one of the highest authorities in the world, everyone. Aim your weapons. Sanji, ever the drama queen, mutters, this is no good, while Vegapunk doubles down. Bonney, get away from him. Saturn, eyes glowing red like a discount Darth Vader, snaps, silence, insects. If I didn't want to get stabbed, I would have avoided it. Sanji loses his mind, only to get knocked flat by Saturn's creepy eye trick. Saturn mumbles, yanking the sword out. Frankie's gobsmacked. What? The blood has vanished. Saturn's basically a self-healing action figure, and the Marines are eating it up like it's a magic show. Doberman, eager to score brownie points, barks, sighs Vegapunk and the others now. The Marines scramble, but Saturn waves them off like they're annoying flies. Wet you churls. No need to rush, they have nowhere to run. Just ready your weapons. The grunts snap to yes. Saturn saunters over to Kizaru, who's lying on the ground like a busted light bulb, and sneers, that is not like you, working so sluggishly. Kizaru wheezes, I apologize, I can offer no excuse, plus, I don't think I'll be able to move for a while. Saturn, unimpressed, mutters, I see. Probably wondering why he hired this guy. Next, Saturn spots Luffy sprawled out like yesterday's laundry and tries to skewer him with a leg spike. Frankie, in a rare burst of competence, shoves Luffy aside with strong right and scoops him up. Saturn, mildly entertained, says, I see, so you people are the type of pirates that cooperate. Frankie puffs up, even a man on top of the world wants our captain's head. Saturn, unfazed, lists off Straw Hat Luffy, Jewelry Bonney. Your participation in this battle was certainly unexpected. Should you fools be able to escape this island? Completely surrounded by the Navy, I would love to see it. He turns to Vegapunk with a smirk, and you, Vegapunk. It is a pity that you betrayed us. Thank you for your many contributions to the Navy thus far. Then the kicker, who should I exterminate first? Name them in order of who you will grieve least to most. Because I want you to die regretting your rebellion against the world government. Charming guy. He uses his red eye mojo to knock Luffy out of Frankie's grip, and Bonney stirs, trying to wiggle free. Saturn tightens his hold, sneering. Why do humans always want to do what is forbidden? Sanji struggles. This is strange. Hey, can any of you move? Frankie grunts. No, I want to, but I can't. It's like I'm being held down. Atlas chimes in. What's going on? Even with my strength, I can't move. Vegapunk, playing detective, mutters, if this isn't something scientific, it must be a devil fruit power. Spoiler, it is. Everyone's pinned like bugs under Saturn's aura, and he's loving every second. Bonney, spitting venom, yells, you killed my father. Saturn replies, he was born into a slave caste, the descendant of a clan that once committed a grave crime against the world. The sole survivor of the extinct Buccaneer people. The Marines aim at her head, and Vegapunk pleads, Guys, don't do it. Don't shoot. She is still a child. But good luck reasoning with Trigger happy grunts. In her mind, Bonney hears Kuma's voice as Bonney. Ever since I was a child, I've always wanted to be a hero who could save the downtrodden and suffering. Just like Nika, the warrior of liberation. He dances to Nika's drumbeat and Bonney asks, will he come and free me too? Kuma smiles. Of course. It's sweet until you remember how this story ends. Flashback 47 years ago, Sorbet Kingdom, South Blue. Kuma's born to clap a buccaneer and his human wife. Congratulations, clap beams, I'm happy to see you. And Kuma's mom gushes, thank you for being born Kuma. The doctor promises, don't worry, I won't tell anyone about Kuma's blood. Clap's grateful, thank you. They're a happy little family until the government crashes the party 4 years later. Clap's home, saying, thank you for waiting. Kuma, let's clean up and eat. Someone gave us freshly harvested potatoes today. Kuma chirps, I'll help you with cleaning and cooking. Then the doctor bursts in, I'm sorry, Clap, you need to run. The government's minions came to the hospital. Too late, government goons kicked the doctor aside, snarling, you tried to help them escape. Kuma demands, what do you people want? They reply, I think you know. You have to come with us. Gunfire rings out and Clap begs, wait, I'm the only one who has buccaneer blood. My wife doesn't. Let her and my kid go. All you need is me, right? No dice. Kuma's mom whispers, Kuma, live your life, no matter how hard it gets. As she's dragged off, Clap adds, we'll see each other again. Stay strong, Kuma. Kuma's left sobbing, Mom, Dad. Cut to child Kuma, lifting weights for a celestial dragon who cackles. Look, he's this young but this strong. He's a buccaneer slave. Why can't you move faster? Kuma cries, that hurts. I'm sorry, later. Carrying more stuff, he's beaten again. Stop crying, or I'll kill you. Then a reunion. Clap, battered, says, hey, Kuma, you've grown so much. Are you doing okay? Kuma lies, yes, my master is very kind, so I'm so lucky. Clap nods, good. Kuma asks, how is mom doing? Clap breaks it. Listen, Kuma, your mother's dead. She should be in heaven by now. I think she's better off that way. Kuma wails. Why? I think I'd be better off dead too. Clap insists, the warrior of liberation will come. He'll come to save you. Nika, the sun god? Yeah. He dances. It's the name of a legendary warrior. One day, he'll come and take you out into the sun, to the free sea. Kuma sniffles. Are you sure? Clap nods. Yes, I'm sure. Nika's always laughing. And he'll make people smile with a rhythm like this. He dances until a celestial dragon shoots him dead, snarling, shut up, Curtains for Clap. Flashback 38 years ago, West Blue. The Celestial Dragons are hosting their triennial local hunting competition on God Valley. The announcer crows, you've waited a long time. This is a triennial event to test your skills, the local hunting competition. This year, it takes place on an island unaffiliated with the world government, God Valley. This island, shamelessly named God's Valley, possesses rich natural resources, will hold a customary human hunt here, and the world government will own this island. The king roars, how dare you? Are you gonna kill my people for sport? You're insane, this is our land, his queen warns, your majesty. But Saint Garling slashes him down. A celestial dragon whines. Wait a minute, Saint Garling, that was a false start. He's already taken down the king of the locals. Garling smirks. The handicap will make the competition more interesting. Two fangirls swoon. So cool. Another grumbles. He lost a lot of points, but that felt good. The announcer adds, as always, in addition to the local rabbits, we have a wide selection of problematic slaves and criminals to hunt. Teen Kuma bends prison bars to escape, and government agents freak. I can't believe this. He's a monster. A slave escaped. Other slaves catch him. You can't just run away. We're a team of 10, all responsible for each other. If you escape, we'll all get killed, Kuma sobs. No, I don't ever want to go back there. Why don't you kill me here? Even if I go back, I will die anyway. Then young Emporio Ivankov and Ginny roll up. Ivankov yells, hee-haw. Hey, hold it right there. Are you the main feature of this event? The Buccaneer boy. You sure are big. I heard you carry the blood of the giants. Ginny, chewing meat adds, my big bro's big too, right? Ivankov snaps, only my face. Cut it out, you fool. He taunts the slaves, you all look so miserable. Are you guys enjoying life? One snaps, shut up, you brat. Ginny asks, do you want to die or do you want to live? Ivankov declares, work a miracle. If you follow us, we've got a great plan. I choose life. How about you guys? The Celestial Dragons kick off their hunt, with slaves' screams ringing out across God Valley. Ivankov and Kuma make a desperate play for freedom. Everyone, strap in. Episode 1130 just smashed into our brains, and it didn't just tell us about God Valley, it ripped the history books wide open and basically rewrote everything we thought we knew. This ain't just some flashback, this is the lore bomb to end all lore bombs, so God Valley, right? It's not some legendary battlefield, it's a hunting ground. The world nobles are explaining the rules for their native hunting competition. Yeah, you heard that right. Among the rabbits, that's what they're calling actual people. There are 13 super rare rabbits, worth 10,000 points each. and 150 rare rabbits. Any one-shot kill. Bam. Excellent bonus and luxurious prizes for the champion. These sickos are so eager. Some even try to get a head start, but get told, hold up, the hunt begins in an hour. Give the people time to run and hide. Can you believe the cruelty? People are running desperately for their lives, begging it's all a dream, screaming out that it's not right for humans to treat other humans as their toys. This is dark, bro. Meanwhile, over at Marineford, things are heating up. Fleet Admiral Kong contacts Monkey D. Garp, who's on vacation. Kong wants Garp at Hachinosu, but he won't say why, because if something happened, he'd be in trouble. Garp, sharp as ever, figures Kong's talking about the world nobles' field trip and reminds him, I told you many times not to mess with Hachinosu. Don't underestimate the Rock's pirates wanting to take back the island's treasure. Garp's even like, what are you scared of if you got escorts? But then Kong drops the ultimate name bomb, Roger is involved. Garp immediately declares, I'm going. But plot twist, the Rock's pirates had already left Hachinosu. They're on their way. Back on God Valley, while this sick competition is underway, Emporio Ivankov starts rallying people. He's yelling, none of us will escape this game alive. And when it's all said and done, these events will be hidden from the history books. Some people actually believe they'd go free if they survived 3 weeks, but Ivankov's like, that's a lie to give you false hope to make the game more interesting. So his message, if you want to live, you need to move right now. With help from a shark fish man, Ivankov is freed from his chains. And then Ginny reveals their ticket out. 2 of the competition's prizes are gonna be their means of escape the oh no me. Model Seryu Kaido's dragon fruit, people. And the Nikyu no meat Kuma's paw fruit. Ivankov's mind is blown. With these 2 devil fruits, we can make it off the island and pass the marine blockade. But the problem, the fruits are in the center of the island. But Ginny, this absolute queen, reveals she's skilled in thieving, wiretapping, and broadcasting, and all this info had been leaked to the outside world 2 weeks ago. She was positive someone heard it. When Ginny says they need a decoy for this plan to work, young Kuma volunteers, citing his strong physiology would protect him, and he'd rather risk his own life than others. Ivankov accepts but straight up says, I won't let Kuma die either. The stakes are insane. And then it's pure, unadulterated chaos. The Rock's pirates and other pirate crews start attacking the Marines, catching them off guard. Rox himself orders his crew to seize the treasure, and look at this lineup making their way onto the island: Edward Newgate's Whitebeard, Dishiki, Buckingham Stussy, Charlotte Linland's Big Mom, Kaido, Gloriosa, and pretty soon, Roger and his pirate crew did too. The God's Knights are trying to defend the world nobles, and eventually, Garp and his soldiers arrive to back up the Marines, leading to an all-out conflict. This is legendary. During the fight, Ivankov and Kuma manage to acquire the 2 devil fruits. Yes, but before Ivankov can eat the Oonomi model Seryu, Big Mom slams him into a wall and takes the fruit. No. She tries to take the Nikyu no Mai as well, but Ivankov yells at Kuma, quickly eat it and save yourself. Right after Kuma eats the fruit, he's attacked by Jagersia Saturn, a Geoise. Saturn tells Kuma that as a member of the Buccaneers, he exists only to live and die as a slave, as decided by the course of history. But Kuma even then stands up to Saturn. He tells him it doesn't make sense for people to be born important or a slave. He proclaims he will emulate Nika and use his power to save the weak and defenseless. Saturn's chilling reply, that is why Kuma and his people would be eliminated. Afterwards, the events on God Valley vanished into the darkness of history, wiped clean. But despite the chaos, Kuma, Ivankov, and Ginny were able to escape God Valley along with more than 500 other people. A miracle. The 3 went into hiding in Sorbet Kingdom and stayed in the church that Kuma's parents once managed. Ivankov realized that no information about God Valley had been revealed to the public, aside from Garp's now legendary reputation. Kuma starts praying for a while, stating he wished he could have saved more lives, but Ivankov and Ginny tell him he had done more than enough, and that Kuma's hands had brought freedom to the people, calling them the hands of liberation, the Feels Man. After that, Ivankov decides to head out on his own, while Kuma and Ginny remained in Sorbet, with the 3 hoping to see each other again. Ginny tells Kuma that from that day forward, she would be his big sister since she was older than him. The 2 began chopping wood to sell and make money. When Kuma was accosted by some kids who called him a monster for his size, Ginny beat them up in his defense. And Kuma apologized and used his powers to push their pain out of their bodies, much to their joy. This kid is already a legend. That night, the 2 were eating dinner, with Kuma remarking on how much of a big eater Ginny turned out to be. The 2 then broke down into tears of joy over their freedom and newfound happiness. You just have to feel for them. Alright, that's the play. By play, a ride in itself. But now, we dive deep. We unlock the secrets Oda just laid bare. First up, the God Knights. We see them. And it's unknown if all of them are celestial dragons like Garling, but one of them mentions they want to seize the trophies for the Manmere family.
Boom. That's evidently the name of another celestial dragon family. This means we finally have half the names of the founders of the world government Nerona, Nefertari, Donkixote, Jay Garcia, Marcus, Topman, Ethamberon, Shepard Figarland, and now Menmayer. Keep track of those names, people. Among the other god knights, there's a lot of bizarre designs. This girl with a big hat bearing the world government logo, a kid with a gas mask, one wearing a ruff around his neck. Now, the treasure of Hachinosu. We cut to Marineford, where Kong has a call with Garp. This confirms Kong was in a high-ranking position already during the era of the rocks. Potentially fleet admiral already by the way he gives out orders. Having lasted across all of Roger's era, all the way until the Great Pirate era. This dude's been around. But in his dialogue with Kong, Garp mentions something very interesting. When Kong says he can't exactly mention the details of the human hunt, likely due to the Celestial Dragons wanting to keep such a thing private, Garp jokingly refers to it as the Celestial Dragon School trip, but then he follows up with, "I told you not to poke the beehive, that is Hachinosu. You underestimate them. That thing is the treasure of Pirate Island after all." Of course they'd come to take it back. The way Garp mentions it, it appears that the Marines sought trouble with the rocks by trying to seize a certain item from Hachinosu that is considered the Pirate Island's national treasure. The context seems to implicate that said treasure is now at God Valley, as even some of the Rocks pirates bring up retrieving a certain item. Particularly among them Shiki and Big Mom say that whoever gets to it first gets to keep it, but Kaido remarks that it would be pointless in Big Mom's hands. This all seems to point to the idea that it's referring to Kaido's devil fruit, which Big Mom would successfully steal from Ivankov and later feed to Kaido since she already possesses a devil fruit or one of the other fruits in possession of the Celestial Dragons. Interestingly, Captain John also makes mention of wanting to make it his treasure, which makes me wonder if it will tie in any way with his actual legendary treasure. After all, beyond the dragon fruit and the paw fruit, there were 4 other chests among the prizes. What were in those? Still, a connection between Xebec and dragons is pretty fascinating, especially when we take into account the connection there is between emu and dragons, with how the celestial dragons are named after the creatures, are fascinated with them, asking Vegapunk to create artificial dragons, and the void century ties between emu and dragons in general. And since Rocksteed Xebec wanted to become king of the world and literally take Emu's position, one can only wonder why the two of them appeared to be so incredibly similar and linked together. This is deep lore, people. The Rocks Pirates. Things quickly escalate as the Rocks Pirates invade the island, with Xebec himself leading the charge as he gets a few spoken lines, though doesn't appear on screen. And among the Rocks Pirates, we have what is an incredibly stacked all-stars cast. First, Whitebeard, who was 36 at the time. He expressed frustration with Xebec's recklessness and how everyone wanted to be captain, which can already be seen reflected here. On his hat, we even see a prototype version of his Jolly Roger that is different from his current one. Cool detail. Next is Miss Buckingham Stussy, the original pirate from whom the current Stussy was cloned. She's getting very cozy with Whitebeard as she would claim to be his lover in the future. Currently, the original Stussy has aged, while the clone has remained pretty identical to this Stussy here, supposedly due to her succubus fruit stopping her from aging. At this time, Stussy was 38 years old, and soon after this incident and the disbandment of the crew, she would begin freeloading at Mads, which would lead to the creation of her clone. And interestingly, her kid Weevil, the supposed kid with Whitebeard, would be born 35 years ago, 3 years after God Valley. The timelines are lining up. Next is Big Mom, who is currently 38 here, wielding Prometheus in hand already. As we were told, she was able to get the dragon fruit for Kaido, for which she considers him to owe her a debt of gratitude. Similarly, Kaido here is 21, having spent 6 years on the crew already, a young beast. After him is Golden Lion Shiki, making his first proper full appearance in the actual manga. The antagonist of Strong World was a historically famous pirate at the time. He appears to have already eaten his fruit at this time. As he states, "I'll send you all flying," which may not be a hyperbole, but meant quite literally. And next is quite the curveball as Gloriosa is revealed to be a member of the Rocks Pirates. Yes, as a reminder, Gloriosa was the Empress of Amazon Lily and captain of the Kuja Pirates many years back. The one who succeeded her was Shakuyaku, Rayleigh's current wife and owner of Shaky's ripoff bar. The one after her is an unnamed empress who ended up dying of love sickness, which was then followed by Hancock. Gloriosa mentioned how all empresses in these 4 generations were afflicted with love sickness, though only the one before Hancock died of it. In Shaky's case, it was possibly Rayleigh.
but I wonder if in Gloriosa's case it was one of the Rock's pirates instead. This is a huge reveal. Gloriosa's presence here would actually explain a lot of things, as it is quite likely that both Gloriosa and Shaky operated together as members of the Rock's pirates. In an SBs, Oda heavily teased readers about the fact that Shaky was an ex-member of the Rock's pirates. However, as she told us in the story, she quit piracy 42 years ago to open up a bar at the Sabati archipelago, which she continues to this day. This explains her absence from the God Valley incident, but Gloriosa likely continued on the crew for a few years more after the two operated together for some time. This further lines up with how it was mentioned that Shaky and Gloriosa worked together to help the Boa sisters return home after they escaped from Mary Geoise, still keeping in contact after all these years as not just former impresses, but also fellow crewmates. Mind blown. We also should give a shout out to Kurozumi Higurashi, as she was confirmed to have been involved with the Rocks during Kaido's flashback. Something that was also supported by the fact that she had the face of a young Shiki in her main No Mi repertoire, but she isn't present here, meaning that either she left the crew already or just isn't present for some other reason. Curious. Finally, adjacent to Gloriosa is Captain John, the famous pirate who left a legendary treasure behind but eventually died of mutiny when his crew killed him for not revealing the location of his treasure to anyone. His corpse was then later pillaged by Moria, who revived it as one of his general zombies. However, on the other hand, we have the Roger Pirates, Golda Roger at age 39, Silver's Rayleigh at age 40, Scopper Gaban, Millet Pine Spencer, and Sunbell. Roger himself looks like a splitting image of Ace, and also appears to be wearing the famous straw hat still. He mentions how it's been 1 year, which could be in reference to how a year prior, Roger had made it to Lodestar, the final island of the Grand Line route, and had now continued his journey to locate the poneglyphs and find the real final island. Yet another third party joins the fray, however, as Garp's reinforcements hit the scene, with a 40-year-old Garp emitting hacky lightning from his fist in a battle that will crown him as hero of the Marines. Alongside his side, however, is the ever-loyal Bogard, who looks quite great despite his age. As this flashback indicates, he must be at least around 60 years old in the present. Kuma and Ginny, in one of the most tragic and emotional One Piece moments, even if off-screen for the death itself, the God Valley flashback skips ahead to Kuma's return to a normal life in the Sorbet Kingdom. Ivankov makes a quick mention of Morgans, who was already active at the World Economic newspaper at quite a young age too, since he would have been 15 back then. And as a cool detail, when Ivankov bids goodbye to Kuma and Ginny, Kuma mentions that he'll never forget a face like Ivankov's, which makes it all the more painful when in Marineford, Kuma has had all his memories erased, and Ivankov begins crying at the fact that Kuma has forgotten his face and now treats him like an enemy. Oda, you monster! We get to find out that Kuma's family seemingly lived at a church, which finally explains to us why Kuma always carried a Bible with him. He appeared to be a man of religion, though I wonder if his adoration for the sun god was the focus of this religion or something complementary to it. However, Kuma's vision of religion seems to be more focused on a pious path of kindness and selflessness, as we see even him healing the wounds of other kids later on like some sort of miraculous prophet. As we expected, Ginny stays behind with Kuma to eventually become Bonney's mother, and the two begin a new humble life in the Sorbet Kingdom. Ginny usually speaks with the pronoun uchai, which is common to the Kansai region of Japan, giving her a very friendly speech pattern, and she refers to Kuma with the adorable nickname of Kumashi. Kuma refers to her as a big eater, which is an allusion to Bonney's epithet, with their hunger seemingly running in the family, foreshadowing level 9000. Together, the two, as in by two, I mean mostly Kuma, work hard gathering wood. This will result in Kuma becoming king and getting to raise Bonney in the Sorbet Kingdom, before he would be driven out as a tyrant. Speaking of Bonney though, interestingly we see two kids who decide to follow Kuma in this chapter, and these are fairly relevant as they'll eventually become members of Bonney's crew, taking care of Kuma's daughter once she sets sail as a pirate to the ocean. Oda plans everything, Joy Boy's race. Before we wrap up, I want to bring up a detail regarding Kuma that arose during his confrontation with Saturn, as the Geoise told Kuma that he was always meant to be born a slave, a concept that Kuma simply can't get behind being born right or wrong. Something fascinating is mentioned. Kuma tells him that just like Nika, he wants to become someone who can save people, and Saturn replies, that is exactly why your people must be erased. What this sentence seems to be implying is potentially the idea that the original Joy Boy user of the Void Century may in fact have been a buccaneer. That is the crime that their people brought to the world,
bearing the user of the Nika fruit, which resulted in the first Joy Boy turned reality, which the world government would then condemn his entire race in order to avoid any other Joy Boy from arising ever again. This would make a lot of sense, as it would explain the mysterious hat found at Mary Geoise. A lot of fans have often mistaken that hat for the hat of a giant, but that is sort of impossible as One Piece giants are way bigger. The hat would have to be at least 3 to 4 times its size to fit an actual 20 mems giant. However, it is still slightly larger than a normal human, but for a buccaneer, it would fit perfectly in their head. This might even explain better the name of the race, as evidently the ancient kingdom was closely tied with the concept of pirates, if not mostly composed by pirates. So it makes sense that the original Joy Boy was part of a race literally named after real pirates. This is a game-changing theory. Saturn witnessing Kuma mentioning wanting to be like Nika likely rose his suspicions again, but ultimately, the government is missing the fact that becoming Joy Boy by being chosen by the fruit isn't really something race-dependent. Becoming Joy Boy is not a matter of blood or birthright, a notion that Saturn clearly falls victim of because he believes all to be born right or wrong, with Kuma being born to be a slave and him being born to be great. But living up to the name of the character of Joy Boy is simply a matter of wishing to deliver liberation, to inherit the ancient will of freedom, and to be able to make such massive dreams a reality. Episode 1130 isn't just a flashback, it's a tectonic shift. Oda just dropped a volcano of lore. God Valley, the rocks, the God's Knights, Kuma's origin, Joy Boy's race. This episode didn't just recap history, it rewrote it, setting the stage for the final saga. My mind is blown. What was your biggest whiff moment? Let me know, this is peak fiction.
We return to the Sorbet Kingdom 30 years ago. That's 8 years after Kuma and Ginny managed to escape the hellscape of God Valley. Kuma? He's 17 years old now and has had one hell of a growth spurt, even rocking these little beer ears on top of his head. Gotta be from his devil fruit, right? And get this, he's become a pastor. An old person is literally begging Kumachi for help. Yup, Ginny's nickname for him has totally caught on. The elder even tells him, "We'd always come to the church when your father was around. We were so surprised when your whole family suddenly vanished. Seeing you raise such a wonderful son who became a pastor, your parents must be so proud." The Sorbet Kingdom is mostly old people, so a lot of them are poor because they can't work. But Kuma, he's their angel, using his miracle hand, his devil fruit powers, to literally push the pain out of an old lady while a whole line of others eagerly awaits their turn. They're all incredibly grateful, praising his divine hands. One of them even asks, "Hey pastor, could you do this on weekdays too?" But bam, a loud stump shatters the peace. It's Ginny, now a stunning 21-year-old, and she's still got that fiery spirit. She roars, "Absolutely not. This is a Sunday exclusive." She's scalding these old-timers. You shamelessly expect treatment without paying even a single berry. Despite her attitude, they all just laugh at the appearance of Jenny the Stingy. To this, she shouts at the drinking picnickers that this isn't a nursing home. The old folks gotta admit, the girl is beautiful but has quite a full mouth. But even that wasn't enough to dissuade men from all over town from confessing their love to her. And Oda, man, he's got the holy sisters dressed like this in a church? This dude is just inviting sin at this point. Goddamn. But with Kumachi around, no other man stood a chance. They'd also say that just seeing Kuma's face was enough to soothe their hearts. Kuma is genuinely glad to see them and hear their kind words. But Ginny, ever the practical one, quickly turns and reprimands Kuma for pampering them too much. And I can't lie, just thinking about these guys seeing the pacifist Akuma all over the news later, it's a heartbreaking thought. Now, you might be thinking, this was 30 years ago, they're probably all dead. But Oda himself confirmed your typical human can live to be at least 141 years old in this world. So they could still be around. Then an old lady drops the heavy truth, we'd all love to donate and support the big fella, but lately it's been a real struggle to meet the heavenly tribute. Apparently, they had a new king with a pretty nasty reputation. This new King Bikori was infamously known as a cold-blooded monster, a heartless cheapskate. He demanded that ailing people like them pay the heavenly tribute without exception. One geezer chimes in, "If we don't, we'll be thrown in prison." This guy was the absolute worst. An old lady spoke about how an old friend of hers was locked away and ended up dying of starvation. The awful king refused to even give prisoners a meal. He was even more stingy with funds than Ginny. He was a terrible man who would happily bend over for the celestial dragons any day of the week. He's listening to all their conversations through a wiretap snail and smiling, the sicko. If they couldn't manage to stay in good health, it would only be a matter of time before they all wound up dead. Clearly, this is the guy the world government tried to convince people that Kuma was like. Shifting the mood, Kuma told them all that he would be sure to take away any pain or sickness they experienced, so he urged them to come by every week. With a big smile and a wave, he saw them off. Nightfall by then, and Kuma faced a massive, pulsating concentration of all the pain and sickness he had removed from them. It's huge, the same size as the one he pushed out of Luffy back on Thriller Bark. After taking a deep breath, he plunged his hands into it and was immediately assaulted by the harmful collection. Despite being able to tank a direct hit from Saint Saturn as a little kid without so much as a tear, this thing made Kuma cry out in horrible pain. Ginny was barely holding herself together as she listened to his cries. But eventually, it was over. Ginny, holding back tears, went to help him. Once he was in bed, she spoke of how he keeps doing this to himself, week after week. None of the elderly visitors knew about the pain he endures for them. Smiling at her, Kuma accepted that it couldn't be helped. Someone needed to accept the mass extraction of pain and suffering to make it go away. If he just let it be, it would end up returning to the original sources. This makes Zoro taking on Luffy's pain even cooler. Kuma was doing that every week, and he didn't mind. He was happy, as long as everyone else could be happy. But he was sorry for worrying her. He planned on getting stronger so he'd be able to better handle it. But Ginny argued that that was hardly the issue. Shifting gears, Kuma suggested that they have dinner to cheer her up, much to Ginny's excitement. This girl sure does love food, and despite the pain, they were happy together. The contrast between Kuma's gentle kindness here and his lifeless eyes in the modern day, even pre-time skip, is staggering. Then we fast forward 5 years. By now, Kuma is 22 and Ginny is 26. The church was in an uproar as Ginny happily insisted that the two of them get married, but Kuma hesitantly told her that they couldn't. That sort of reaction really pissed her off, since she didn't see any reason not to. She knew all too well that he loves her and told him to just admit it already. Angrily, she asked if it wouldn't make him happy. Blushing, Kuma admitted that he's sure it would, but it was complicated. Internally, his reasoning was simple and heartbreaking. He remembered how he and his parents had been enslaved because he was born with Buccaneer blood. His mother was a normal human, yet she too was made to suffer. That was the last thing he wanted for Ginny. Any child of theirs would be in serious danger. This only furthers the concept that Bonney isn't actually Kuma's biological daughter. This poor guy's commitment issues are 100% understandable. It's not that he sister-zoned her, it's deeper. But Kuma, clearly a master of changing the subject by now, flipped through the paper. He mentioned how there were finally a few wanted posters for the freedom fighters that have been causing a ton of riots all over the world. And their leader's name was Dragon. Seems like they conveniently left out the whole Monkey D part. Yeah, connecting him to the hero of the Marins and the mysterious D initial would only make matters worse for the world government. Inspired, Kuma spoke of how cool and heroic the guy was. He was certain that one day he too would make it out to Sia and spend the rest of his life helping people. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Kuma answered it and was faced by 2 men, the same 2 kids who bullied him, now adults, that had come to swoon over Ginny. They even caught a ton of fish to give to her. Kuma, being Kuma, had no issue with them fawning over his woman and happily accepted the fish, which earned him a wooden container thrown right in his head by Ginny. Ginny just had to take a deep breath on account of Kuma being so foolish. These two are Bonney's future crew, by the way. 3 years later, a 25-year-old Kuma was caught up in a huge incident. Now sporting his signature hat, his eyes already showing the strain of the world, he angrily demanded that a group of King Bakori's men give back all the people they had kidnapped. People begged Kumachi to save them. The soldiers mocked the man and asked if he really wanted to go against the royal army. A number of onlookers recognized Kuma as a pastor from the south. With an old man in his clutches, a scar-faced goon asked the pastor if he'd missed the new law. They were now free to use every person from the south however they wanted. Realizing that they planned to enslave them, Kuma's fury only grew. Using his powers, he roared, "I refuse to forgive you," and unleashed an Ursa's shock. He was now branded a traitor. This is monumental. This is the first time he's ever hurt other people. This seemingly unwavering pacifist broke, and it took threatening others with the same hell he experienced as a slave. This is the first step to the Kuma we know. One of King Bakori's men urged the ruler to reconsider such a rough policy. The populace would hardly accept, but the long-nosed sovereign insisted that there was nothing to worry about. People have a tough time embracing change, but soon enough they'd all begin to look down on the southern people just like he does. From this day forward, he declared that the people of the north would be the true Sorbet Kingdom. He only saw value in those who could adequately pay the heavenly tribute to the world government. After all, the amount necessary was determined by a country's population. This is sick. This trickle-down cruelty gives monarchs an incentive to purge their own people. Because of this, the elderly from the south were nothing but an eyesore. But by cutting them off and turning the south into a lawless area, the true Sorbet Kingdom would only flourish. Kuma is seeing his home become a mini-Mary Geoise. Eventually, Kuma and the others, Guinea and the two former bullies, were all locked away in prison. Turning to them with his bruised face, Kuma asked why all his friends got arrested too. Ginny let him know that they had caused a bit of trouble too, demanding Kuma's release. But they just ended up with a beating and the same fate. Gritting his teeth, Kuma told Ginny that his homeland was on the verge of becoming a discriminatory kingdom. She responded that the king is just a puppet of the celestial dragons, and that he got this policy from them. Because of that, if they defy this country, they would also need the resolve to fight the world government. Meanwhile, several large explosions rang out. The king was urged to quickly escape, but utterly disgusted, two figures refused to let a celestial dragon's lapdog like him get away. The people rejoiced. The tyrant king had been dethroned. The slave policy had been abolished. Thanks to the intervention of a certain group, the Sorbet Kingdom was saved from its evil leader. Now entering the prison, the leader of the revolt, Dragon, praised the man his comrade, Ivankov, recommended for causing such a stir. The big-headed one, Iva, insisted that Dragon would really like him. Once inside, Iva called out to Kuma and Guinea, knowing that they had both been arrested, and telling the two that they had come to save them. They were both shocked to see Iva again. In response, Iva told Kuma, if he hasn't changed, they should change the world together. And just like that, Kuma and Guinea joined the freedom fighters. It's like Kuma was fanboying so hard. His hero, Dragon, storming the prison. The freedom fighters were established right after the great dawn of piracy. They caused a ton of angry revolts all over the world. After the tragedy of Ohara's destruction, they were more determined than ever to make a difference. Dragon, Iva, and Kuma became its three great pillars. Eventually, the group became known far and wide as the Revolutionary Army. And if you notice, on Dragon's leg is a band with imagery almost identical to what would later become the markings on his face. But despite their growing movement, they still lacked funding, so they needed to operate like mercenaries. They would lend a helping hand to various rebellions to overthrow tyrannical kings, fanning the flames of revolution. All the while, they would teach anyone who wished to join their ranks. Dragon intended for them to become a boundless army spread throughout the entire world. We see a lot of new revolutionaries here, brand new and unique designs. For a moment, I thought one was Bello Betty because of the top hat and skirt, but Betty would have been like 12, so these are all new. And it worries me because if they were important early on and we don't recognize them, they might have met tragic fates. While sailing on a ship with their old insignia, Kuma asked Dragon where he learned so much about weaponry. The commander-in-chief admitted that he used to be a Marine. Wait, Monkey D. Dragon, a former Marine. But ultimately, he didn't find even a shred of justice among them. For Dragon to have so quickly overthrown a force that even managed to capture someone as super strong and durable as Kuma, who also has a top-tier devil fruit, is damn impressive. Kuma was taking crazy damage on a weekly basis, which could have only empowered his already ridiculous pain tolerance. So Monkey D. Dragon is no doubt a total monster. There is no question this guy is at least Admiral level. Think about Garp raising enemies. His son, his grandson, his cousin, Ace, all turned against his path. Garp's optimism is Joy Boy esque. He just keeps smiling. And Dragon, he could have been 30 in the Marines. Vice Admiral, maybe? Imagine Dragon and Garp at the same rank. And Dragon and Sakazuki are the same age, 55. They were probably recruits together, maybe close comrades or friends for a decade. If Dragon stayed, both would have been admirals. But Dragon committed the ultimate taboo. No wonder Sakazuki hates Dragon so much. It's personal. Killing Ace was duty, killing Luffy was passion for Sakazuki. Son of Dragon must kill. This recontextualizes Vegapunk's O'Hara chat with Dragon too. There are reasonable people in the Navy, Dragon. Stella shut him up because Dragon was one of them. Iva laughed as they all enjoyed a meal and some drinks together. From Marine to Revolutionary, all Dragon wanted to do was help people. With this, Kuma vowed to follow Dragon to the very end. Something Dragon was sure he wouldn't end up regretting. Eventually, Kuma returned to his church in the Sorbet Kingdom. The old folks were still kicking, and the big guy told them that he'd be coming home every now and again since he tends to worry about them. What a guy. And with that, 8 more years would pass. We're now 14 years ago from the present. In a certain kingdom, a fellow revolutionary couldn't help but notice how exited Guinea seemed to be, as she sang to herself with a gun in hand. Now, the commander of the Eastern Army, the role Bello Betty goes on to inherit. With some food in her mouth, Ginny figured the reason should be pretty obvious. Happily blushing, she mentioned how they'd be meeting up with Kumachi's squad soon. She was so joyful that she could hardly breathe. They recognized that Commander Kuma truly was a lucky man, one that had won the heart of the woman they all admire. but the idea of them all admiring her totally grossed Ginny out, much to their pain. She's like 37 now, always smiling, always eating, just like Luffy. If she is his mom, this works. Luffy's born. Ginny's still with the RA. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure began approaching them. Sometime later, Dragon received an urgent call while he was at the main headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, Baltigo. With a grim look on his face, along with now having his signature marking, Dragon received the news that Ginny had been captured. The men who reported it profusely apologized as it was on account of a truly unexpected enemy. Dragon looks utterly devastated, lines on his eyes, sweating. You can't picture Dragon looking more wrecked. This is a rough time frame for when Dragon got his marks, and if this all went down 14 years ago, then this was before Luffy ended up with Shanks' straw hat and met his brothers Sabo and Ace. It probably also means that Bonney is less than 14 years old, so that whole her being a kid thing holds up. And Dragon's devil fruit? Wind-based Loja makes sense, saving Luffy from Smoker, Path in Flames for Ace and Luffy, Wind coming off him on his ship, but then there's Rain. And that lightning that saved Luffy from Buggy's execution when Dragon was there? That was no coincidence. So, maybe a mythical Zoan, an Eastern Dragon, Weather Lord. Controls weather, clouds, wind, life-giving rain, summons a storm when injured. It rained when Roger died and Dragon was there. This theory fits everything we've seen. This episode, this flashback, it's an emotional meat grinder and a lore eruption. Kuma's pure heart, his first act of violence, joining Dragon, finding purpose, and now Ginny's capture. What's next? Who took her? How does Kuma become? Kuma, I am not ready for the next one, but give it to me now.